pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Preston, can we have a roll call?
Mayor Sproul,
Here.
President Lungard,
Here.
Councilor Drebin,
Present.
Councilor Gilgan,
Here.
Councilor Goulart,
Present.
Councilor Newman,
Here.
Councilor Paulson.
Present.
You have a full council tonight, Your Honor.
Wonderful. Thank you for all showing up. Okay, the Yamhill County Sheriffs, can we get your report?
Hello, everyone. Deputy Andrew McNeil with the Sheriff's Office. I'd like to go over the monthly stats for December of 2021. We go down the reportable list. We had one aggravated assault, one residential burglary, one larceny or theft, one disorderly conduct, one DUI, 7 simple assaults, 2 vandalisms, 7 other categories, and 16 non-reportable offenses. The list of the actual calls or incident types, there were 76 traffic stops, 30 follow-up calls, 20 suspicious type incidents, 14 area checks, 11 DHS, 11 civil papers, 11 domestic disturbances, 10 extra patrols, 10 welfare checks, 8 noise complaints, 8 alarms, 7 field investigations or subject contacts, 7 civil complaints, 7 harassments, 6 information reports, 6 agency assist, 5 disturbances, 5 ordinance calls, 5 warrant services, 4 reckless driving complaints, 4 medical assist, 4 details, 3 animal nuisances, 3 traffic crashes, 3 suicidals, 2 animal bites, 2 fights, 2 sex crimes, 2 trespasses, 2 thefts, 2 criminal mischiefs, 2 abandoned vehicles, 2 weapons complaints, 2 custodial interferences, 2 missing persons, 1 intoxicated person, 1 animal abuse, 1 traffic complaint, 1 repossessed vehicle, 1 fraud, 1 menacing, 1 premise unsecure, 1 911 open line or hang up, 1 DUI, 1 hit and run, 1 parking complaint, 1 unknown problem, and 1 drug violation. The total calls for the month, there were 311. So add up all those, Deputy Schmidt or myself, or Deputy Morrissey is here tonight. He's a recruit with our office. He's been with me a little bit of last month and he'll be with me all of this month. Out of all the 311 calls, 156 of those calls were responded to by Lafayette contract individuals. So which leaves 161 calls that were covered by rural patrol, OSP, or a combination thereof. Is there any questions?
I do have a question.
Yes.
Although I see a lot of the numbers fluctuate as they do every month, I see that simple assault has went up the most. That's the
Sure.
highest amount that's went up. Can you explain what the term simple assault means? And is there anything specific attributed to that? Or is that like, what I mean is like, is that a seasonal thing that you see like as the holidays approach, or we've had the holidays, there's certain crimes that are more likely to go up in number, or is there no contributing factor?
So I think that's it's pretty safe to say it's a contributor, right? You got holidays, you got family together, people that are normally not around each other all year, people intoxicated.
Right,
Sometimes we're not gonna always get along, right? So a simple assault would be everything from an assault in the 4th degree to a harassment. So any offensive physical contact, pushing, shoving.
okay, I just wanted
Family
to,
disputes.
I just wanted an explanation since that was the one that seemed to have jumped up
I
the
noticed that,
highest.
too. That is
Yeah,
quite a bit of. an
That's a
increase.
pretty big jump.
Sure.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what's the new deputy's name?
Deputy Morrissey.
Morrissey.
Yeah, you probably TJ.
I'm sorry, TJ?
TJ.
PJ.
Yes, sir.
Patrick Morrissey,
That's right.
Okay, and do we have a number for him?
318.
Thank you. And just another question on the annual summary. I noticed it says prior year, it's blank on a few different spots. Is that just a typo? There were no burglary businesses in the prior year?
So I noticed that also, and there was 4 for last year. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that, and if you look at animal problems and DUIs, I see 0, 0, 0. I don't even see zeros, it's just blank, so. It's okay if it's, if it was an oversight, that's fine. I'm just curious.
I just got the annual one today also, and I noticed this.
Okay,
discrepancy.
All
I don't have an answer for that.
no problem, Deputy McMahon, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys too, thank you.
So the raw data Excel sheet isn't in here. Did we not get it? Did you get it?
I didn't get an email for the Excel, that's what you're talking about, yeah.
So
I was gonna ask that, I was gonna ask Preston for that later on, I wasn't gonna do it here.
I had to compile a lot of that data today, and I actually have some handouts that I can give to Preston that cover a lot of this. Even includes a graph that shows some of the increases.
Yeah, it's electronic data that's easier to, slice and dice,
Yeah,
right?
Definitely.
So that's what I look for is the Excel spreadsheet. So, and I'm okay with getting that later. That's fine. I do want to ask how do you determine if it's an abandoned vehicle? What makes it an abandoned
So a
vehicle?
lot of times that'll be a specific call that we get. It'll just be titled that way. So someone reports the vehicle's been in the
Sitting there
area.
for a really long time. Okay, I
So
have several on my
when they
list.
categorize that, when they call us about it, it'll just be classified that way.
Okay. And it sounded like you had them towed, or did you have them tagged
So there were some towed vehicles this month.
that were labeled as abandoned vehicles, or?
I'm not sure if they were the abandoned vehicles
Okay.
or it may have been under the ordinance call type.
Okay,
I know there was some tows.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Questions from the audience? Jim, do you have any questions?
No, I appreciate
Yeah,
the
of course.
rundown.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm liking the data.
Preston.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, the next thing is the minutes. We just have 1 month's worth of meetings this time. How did we do with how did we do with the minutes?
I have a question, this is on the first page under 8A. A couple sentences in where it says the amendments are in response to action by the state legislature that became effective in 2021. That actually became effective January 1st, 2020, and I'm wondering if that's something that was said in the meeting. I didn't go back and listen, or if that's just a descriptor to say what the meeting was about. Because if it was actually said, that actually reflects an error in the meeting, but I don't know which way, how to go about that.
So when were the actual amendments created by the state of Oregon? Was it January of 2020?
So House Bill 2001 was done in 2019 to become effective January 1st of 2020. That's what I read earlier.
Joe, we can correct that year to the right date. Yes.
Okay.
Cover that.
I just wasn't sure if that was an explanation in the minutes or of what, verbatim of what actually was said.
You're talking about the planning commission.
No, we're talking about the minutes from last meeting.
Oh,
The sentence that says the amendments are in response to action by the state legislature. So that's the descriptor in the minutes.
right.
Was that taken from the meeting or was that just added to supplement the minutes that we can just,
I assume it was added because usually they say so and so.
Okay,
Noted,
that's fair.
mentioned. So I assume that's.
So we can easily just-
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, that doesn't sound like something someone would say, so it's just probably a descriptive sentence in there.
okay. I think that's all I saw though.
Okay.
I have an, item 12. Page 5 of 5, Councilor Goulart stated he voted no because he believes the property value will increase above the offered amount. And I think that should be, I think that statement's fine, but not in context. I was asked why I voted no. And I said that it wasn't clear to me what I could say and couldn't say leaving the executive session.
Mhm.
And so I think that needs to be added in here.
He did say that. I remember that. He said that specifically to me because I asked him about that.
So you want to add a sentence to that?
I would like to add that the mayor asked me why I voted, if she could ask me why I voted no. And then I explained to her it wasn't clear to me what I could say coming out of an executive session, being put on the spot. And so, I didn't have time to think of a cognitive or rational response. And I stated that I couldn't determine what I was allowed to say and not at that point. So Mayor Sproul asked Councilor Goulart why he voted no. And I think it needs to reflect that, my other statements about not knowing what was allowed and not allowed. And in addition to that, I added that I think that property value will increase. And that's all I had, really.
Okay.
So I can add that sentence prior to what you see.
Sure, right, just before that, right, Mayor Sproul asked Councilor Goulart why he voted no.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
So can I have a motion with the amendments just made?
I move to approve the minutes from the meeting of where's the date for it? December 9th, 2021, with the amended proposed amendments from Gregory Goulart.
Yeah, and we also got a one-word correction from our city attorney on this too.
Okay,
And Kevin noted that.
okay.
Okay,
I don't know what it was. I think it was one word.
so do I need to add that too?
Yeah, you probably should say, and also corrections
And
that
also the corrections that were suggested from the city attorney.
Right. So there's three altogether, yeah. Got it.
Can I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry,
I was saying aye.
opposed?
I can't vote aye if I don't know what the city attorney suggested.
What is the word if you need to
Yeah,
change?
yeah, let me.
I'm sorry,
It's okay.
I don't mean to drag the meeting out, but
Troublemaker. Keep at it.
You know, we're gonna put you in the corner. And
I know, and I've been in the corner almost all week, let me tell you, at home. Don't ask.
Yeah, the correction was Sheila was not in attendance.
Okay.
I agree.
So we put her under absent.
I don't know, Preston, it sounds like two words.
Right, it is too.
Okay, I vote aye,
Okay.
so I think it's unanimous.
So it's unanimous. Thank you very much. Okay.
I was thinking Sheila wasn't there,
but it was driving me nuts. And I
That's
thought,
on
maybe I'm
Zoom
just
and I couldn't
forgetting.
remember.
No, I wasn't present, so.
Okay, good catch on those guys. Okay, any additions or deletions from the agenda? Counselors?
None for me.
Okay. We'll move on. Citizen input on non-agenda items. Does anybody have in the audience? Have you? That's right, Larry, you there. That's right. Have you? Yeah. I asked Preston to have Larry come and give us an update on what's going on with the business group.
We're making progress. Good progress, I think. We're about 2 months, a little over 2 months into it. We have formed a Lafayette Downtown Association. And I have all of the information the lawyers, Augenberg Ruder, had asked for the filing of the 501c6 Downtown Association. We agreed to take business out of the name because we want to concentrate on non-business owners as well as business owners, professionals, nonprofits, and citizens who want to help. We've had, well, 3 meetings. First one was just with the lawyers, and then we meet every first Wednesday at 6:30 at the Lafayette Community Center. So we have limited attendance. We were online last time, but because of COVID, the weather, staffing issues in the businesses, and the fact that most of our business owners don't live in Lafayette, we've had participation, but not a lot of people at the meetings. But we have a board of directors. The president of the Lafayette Downtown Association is Tara Brown. Don't know who here knows Tara. Tara is Don Laird's daughter, representing about 42 different properties in Lafayette. Tara runs Galaxy Property Management, which manages those properties. And she needed to be part of the board, and she agreed to be president, providing I work with her and it doesn't come to be a full-time job for her. The treasurer of the organization is Norm Pagnazzini, who is the owner of the Lafayette Antique Schoolhouse Antique Mall and the Groovy Mart. And he has enthusiastically agreed to be part of the group. An interesting secretary is Melissa Jensen. Melissa works for Shannon Thornton, who owns the Ferryman Building and represents Toro Restaurant. Melissa is part of the Amity Improvement District. Melissa has raised funds for the Amity Improvement District. She and I spent Tuesday afternoon looking at who put those funds together. And one of the things we will be working on is raising grant money for the Lafayette Downtown Association. There are 2 additional at-large members, Alex Sanchez, who owns Mercado Abastos, again, enthusiastically part of the board, and Adam Bertram, who is the CFO of Oregon Ventnor Services, and they own Cascade Water Systems, which is on 3rd Street. Tara lives in Wilsonville, Norm lives in Amity, Melissa lives in Amity, Alex lives in Portland, Adam lives next door to me in Lafayette. And Adam is a good head, a good business head.
Did you say Alex lives in Portland?
I believe so. I believe that's what he told me. The lawyers recommended we have kind of a mixed term, but initially they've all agreed to be on board for 2 years. And we'll figure out how to change that. The geography of the Downtown Association will be Jackson Street to Washington Street, 3rd Street to 2nd Street, unless there's reason to expand it. Right now, that will be the focus. And I think it's Isn't it all of those red dots up there?
You mean fourth the second? Not third the second?
We do not have fourth on there. And the question is, should we?
Well, what about the businesses on the other side of the dip on the west, on the east side?
We can make the geography what we would like to make it. Right now, I was told Jackson to Washington, third, second.
Because from my recollections, there's 5 businesses between the end, the dip, the bridge, and the end of the city limits.
Going up to Dollar General, I think, from the
Yeah.
Dollar General this way to the dip in the road.
I can amend the minutes.
And I know-
to do that if you would like that to happen.
Oh, I think so, because there's a preschool, there's a renovation save, there's a business, an automotive business on the other side.
Yeah.
There's Dollar General. I mean, there's also that one lot that's
There's that
vacant.
big property that will be developed at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I will do that.
I think
So
it's
what would
fair.
be the right boundary?
The city limits, because the city limits are right after Dollar General.
Well, and I
It's in,
think,
it's in the middle of the,
well, and up here on Fourth Street, we have Maycor, so you're excluding Fourth Street as well, which is commercially zoned. And parts of Fifth Street are actually commercially zoned as well.
There's
But
no reason why I can't put it fourth to second, city limits going back and forth.
now, if somebody, even though they're not within those boundaries, if somebody has a home business that's not in those boundaries, are they gonna be able to be in the
Well,
business?
that's why we said we will reach out for membership. Right now, there are no dues to become a member. So
Right.
If somebody wants to come to the meetings, they're welcome to.
Okay. So people other than just that are in that area can be part of this organization. Okay.
And my real job is to keep enthusiasm, keep people
Sure.
focused on something's gonna happen.
So if we are asking you to extend it to the city limits that side, I think you need to incorporate city limits on that side because there's commercial buildings past Washington.
We'll do the city limits from.
Okay, just
north
for
to- is it north to
clarification.
South or east to west?
East
Good
west.
question.
No, it's east west
I always get confused. All I know is,
to west.
So when you talk about boundary, you're saying businesses that are adjacent to those streets, not those are the boundaries, right? Like if you,
And our focus is really Third Street and how Third Street moves left and right.
okay,
I've invited Maycor to my meetings and they have not responded at all.
okay.
I will say one of their representatives have told me that it's Macor from, after Mac, Oregon. FYI.
Really?
I never knew how to pronounce that.
They've actually been, oh God, I can't remember. They've been around forever. It's one of
Yes.
the oldest businesses.
And I finally figured out what they do.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And are these meetings open to the public as well, or they are? And are they announced somewhere?
What the lawyers recommended is we get our core together and we put together the mission statement, geography, board of directors. And then like for the February 2nd meeting, we will invite all of the businesses and maybe we can post it in your
Sure.
newsletter that goes
Sure.
out. Yeah, but anybody is invited to come.
and now that we have Wi-Fi down there, you can have more Zoom people.
And the Wi-Fi actually works.
Great, thank you.
It took me-
I've talked to Kevin about putting a television and maybe getting basic cable down there, so, we're working on that too.
Okay. But I am happy with the board and with the enthusiasm of the board. At our next meeting, we are going to set 1-year goals and 5-year goals and talk in depth about the grant opportunities to provide some funding. They got $38,000 into the Amity Improvement District from rural development. And Melissa is contacting rural development today to see what their budget is, whether it's still open. The Oregon Main Street program is closed, but it will open at some point in time and we'll be on the list to talk to them. I've invited Ron Noble to our meetings and he's ignored me, but I invited him for coffee this morning. And he is interested in Lafayette. He lives right outside of Lafayette. He's talked for years about a coffee shop, and we all agree we need a meeting place. Business people need a meeting place in Lafayette, and there are properties opening up. There's a lot of empty space down there. And there are properties opening up that are perfect for a coffee shop, bakery. I'm trying to talk Tara into the Kelty estate being the Airbnb on top, a winery on the bottom, and some other mixed businesses like a mini Mac market. She's resisting me, but Melissa's working on her too. So far, this has been fun. So we have set up a mission statement, and I will end with the mission statement because I'd like to get back to my wife.
Sure.
The purpose of the Lafayette Downtown Association is to enhance and promote the economic well-being and community development of downtown Lafayette. The association will focus on retention of current businesses and recruitment of new businesses. The association aims to accomplish this by encouraging and inspiring the arts within the community, assisting in restoring and revitalizing properties and improvements within the service area, providing communication and resources to business and property owners and other members, planning and hosting promotional and community events to enhance tourism, marketing, and cultivate community engagement, and finally, work to promote and preserve the unique cultural heritage of Lafayette.
It's awesome.
Excellent.
So I think we're gonna get this done. I think we're gonna get it funded, and I like the board. And you'll see some improvements. And obviously, it's working with you guys that is gonna make it happen.
Right, exactly.
Any questions?
Thank you, Larry, for your taking the time out from your wife to come let us know what's going on. Thank you.
Good. And maybe, let's see, February, maybe March, I'll come back and
That'd be
we'll give you an
great.
update.
That'd be great.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank you. Okay, any other citizen input? It's not on the agenda. Okay, we will go ahead and start. Our first project tonight is to open a public hearing for the changes, the ordinance changes for the ADUs. So I'm going to open the hearing. And then I'm going to ask anybody if there's any objections from anybody if we read it by just the title. Anybody have any objections to that? Okay. An ordinance amending the Lafayette zoning and development ordinance to delete the ADU off-street parking and owner occupancy requirements. LA 2020-01. The ordinance is number 640. Okay, is there any discussion on this ordinance at all from the council?
We discussed it pretty well
I
last
know.
time.
Yeah.
I know, but I have to ask.
I'm all talked out on it.
Okay. Okay, then I'm going to close the public hearing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Public testimony on that, yes, at all?
I thought that section was closed, closed already.
No, you opened the hearing and I didn't know if you asked if there was anything.
Is there any public information that's you want to discuss anything about it? Okay. I want to close the public hearing. Okay, now you need to provide me with a motion for the changes. I need a motion.
I move to adopt ordinance 640, amending ADU regulations of the Lafayette zoning and development code.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, the ADU is done for the time being. Excellent. Okay, the next thing on the list is there's been a request for a vehicle extension on an occupancy for an RV. Would you like to give us the staff report on that, Preston?
I could, Your Honor. You're probably familiar with the ability for folks that need to occupy an RV in the city. We have a permit process for that. And by our ordinance, I can approve those on a monthly basis, and any property in the city is allowed maximum 2 months permitted time to occupy an RV on the premises. And any extension beyond that would require council approval. So that's the case tonight. I approved 2 months occupancy at 516 6th Street. The owners are George and Carla Larson, and George is here tonight to speak to this issue, as well as his daughter and son-in-law and their child, the occupant of the RV. And you have the ordinance attached for your reference, as well as a letter from the RV owner, George Larson's daughter. Her name is Deidre. Thank you.
So I understand you're asking us to approve your occupancy from now until August. Is that correct?
That would be the one.
Longest. Tell me in your own words why you need this.
Well, go ahead, George. Okay, so basically, my mom is very sick. I don't know if you met her. Sorry. I'm crying.
It's okay.
She's very sick and she needs a lot of help, and so we're just there to help out as we can. By then she should be able to have her in people coming back in to help her, because she had been having people come in and help bathe her and things like that.
Mhm.
And she doesn't currently have them anymore. And so, thank you. And so we're here to try to help out with her, some of her daily activities, but also as well as like fixing up outside, like the factories taking over and stuff, and trying to help manage some stuff and help her out and George. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff she can't do by herself. I mean, just going to the grocery store is a hard thing for her to do, and so we're there to help her out as best we can. And we shouldn't have to be there longer than August. We should have people back ready to help her out.
Now you have the RV set up right next to the house,
Yeah.
with the lean-to and stuff back,
Yeah.
where the front of the RV is even with the house. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
it's not even in the road or anything. It's parked in their driveway. They have a pretty long driveway.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, and I'm assuming you're not like showering in there and all that. You're using the house for all that.
We
Is that
do
right?
have access to inside. If
Right.
if we needed to, we could use it
Sure.
in the trailer. But we have a tank where if we did use it in the trailer, we can transport it, go dump it in back at their little dump site that they have right there on Flint Orchard, somewhere back in that. Yeah.
How long have you been there already? 2 months?
Well, Preston gave us the extension
2 months?
for
2 months.
I want to say that I appreciate you going through the proper channels and getting permits and trying to do things the right way, bringing it to the city so that we can make a decision and try to help you. There's a lot of people that don't go through the proper channels. And so I want to say that I personally appreciate that.
Yeah, so do I. And the way you have it set up, no one would ever know. Right? Because the way you're parked in there, and I just live around the corner from you folks, so.
Yeah, I drove by it.
And I walked
don't
by there
think
on
it's
my way
fixed at
down
all.
here this evening to take another look at it. So, yeah, I appreciate you folks coming and going through the proper channels as well.
I want to commend you for taking care of your mom. That's no small task.
Nope.
And right now, staffing of caregivers is challenging. This is truly a difficult time in that respect for a lot of people. And I appreciate you stepping up. That's wonderful.
Yeah, because I'm on the guard. I mean, probably I could be on Tuesday again, for
Mhm.
the third time of the year.
We're doing okay.
Where were you guys from before this?
I'm in Newburgh.
Yeah. his parent, we had been staying with his parents while he was deployed overseas, but they're moving, so it's not really an option. So,
Welcome.
but the main purpose is.
Thank you for your service.
Are you being activated to the hospitals?
Most likely.
Most likely depends
Thank you.
on the situation, because I might be going to Africa in June,
African June. How exciting.
joint training.
Well, thank you for your service as well.
Will the possible deployment in June conflict with an August?
It's only a 2 week.
Okay,
Yeah.
So-
So it shouldn't be a problem.
so Preston, if we approve this, you'll still, because that's what I'm saying per calendar year, so for 2022, if there were extenuating circumstances, if they came to you and said, we need a little bit more time, you would have the ability to approve them for 2 more months for 2022, is that correct?
No,
The calendar.
you'd have to come back to the council.
It's, you can approve 2 temporary permits per calendar year, right?
Right.
One of them's already for this year, already going on.
The one that expires, okay. All right, I mean, I also, commend you guys for going through, I don't want to call you guinea pigs going through this, but I haven't seen this process before, and, we've definitely stepped up our code enforcement, and so there's a process. So I don't want to be, too hard if there is an opportunity that comes up or an emergency that comes up that they need an extra month or so. I'm just wondering if that's on the table or not.
I think they would just come back to us.
They'll just come back in August to us and then we can review it again. And I'm sure that we'll be.
Flexible.
Mhm,
And this RV is a brand new RV, so it's as far as.
Now, I don't remember, is it a trailer or an actual motorhome?
It's a trailer.
It's a trailer.
Nice big one.
So what do you need? Do you need a motion?
Correct.
Preston?
If you're willing to grant this request, then a motion to extend the occupancy of this address through mid-August. That would cover. Worst case, you have to come back to the council in August. That would be worst case.
I personally don't have any problems with this.
I'm happy to make a motion.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve the occupancy of the RV at the address of 516 6th Street through August 2022.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Well, you got your extension.
I think through August, we mean the end of August.
Yes. To be clear, yes, August 30, what one? Is that one? 30, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and good luck.
Tell your mom we said hi.
Yeah.
I want to keep like that baby. That's adorable. Thank you.
Okay, the next thing we have to do is to appoint people to the board and commissions. We have 2 things that we have to deal with. First of all, we have to deal with the planning commission. Okay. Several people on the planning commission have come to the end of their term. So that is Ron Kerr, Doreen Van Tyne, and those are the only 2, aren't they? Everybody else is on the budget committee.
Isn't Doreen on the downtown design?
Yes, she's
Okay.
also, I'm sorry, the downtown design, I thought she is also on the planning committee. too,
She's
but
also
not
on the downtown.
Yeah.
program.
Okay. So the first person is on the planning commission, which is Ron Kerr. So I would like to reappoint Ron Kerr to the planning commission.
Need a motion?
Yes, please.
I move to reappoint Ronald Kerr to the planning commission for a term expiring 12/31/2025.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, I would like to, the next appointment is Doreen Van Tyne to the Downtown Design Review Committee. I would like to reappoint her to the end of the expiration of 12/31/2023. Can I have a motion?
I move to reappoint Doreen Van Tine to the Downtown Design Review and Award Committee for a term expiring 12/31/23.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, the people that are existing on the budget committee now are Lillian Barnett and Jeff Olson. We want to reappoint them to the budget committee on the expiration date of 12/31/2024.
I move to reappoint Lillian Barnett and Jeffrey Olson to the Budget Committee for terms expiring 12/31/2024.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, now we have a new appointment to the budget committee, and I've talked to Marilyn Duval. And she is here, and she's been at quite a few meetings with us. And she put in an application, and we chatted for a while, and I think she'll fit the budget committee perfectly.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if you'd like to have that.
Does anybody have any questions for Marilyn?
I appreciate you volunteering for anything and everything.
Well, I believe in supporting the community that I live in. I think it's very important.
How long have you lived here?
I've been here a year this month.
Happy 1-year birthday.
Well, I see that you put your work with the Chamber of Commerce on your application, so you better hope that Larry doesn't get a hold of that information.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if you end up having any senior events, I'd be interested in volunteering for any of those, so.
Yeah, I understand that she was in charge of that.
Yeah.
I am slowly trying to work through getting that up and running, but I've had some health issues the last 2 months. So that is my goal.
Maybe when you're feeling better, we can get together.
That's definitely the plan. I've been working with Marie and talking to Hillary and other citizens we definitely have the people ready to get it going. We just need to have the proper sense of organization and procedure so that we can run within our parameters of where I want to take it. To get some events together, yes. And definitely senior events are definitely a high priority for us to get going because we have most of kid oriented.
Priority at this time in my life.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. And I will definitely be getting your information and reaching out if that's okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, if there's no more questions, I need a motion.
I move to appoint Marilyn Duval to the Budget Committee for a term expiring 12/31/2024.
A second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Well, Marilyn, you're part of our family.
The first of 10 committees.
Your Honor, if I could just add that
I now have your contact information.
Right.
Marilyn will be in touch with you and set up an appointment to come in and get a budget, get an orientation, and really kind of get you what you need, get ready for hearings that we talk about next fiscal year budget, generally the end of April, early May. So we'll have you come in and we'll get you all set up for that.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at your budget.
You bet. You bet. Great. And Your Honor, so that completes a lot of boards and commissions, but looking at the folks that wanted to continue, there's one vacancy we need to advertise in our February newsletter, and that's for a vacancy on the Planning Commission.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
We'll advertise that.
I've held somebody in reserve for that, but we have to advertise so we can, before we can appoint. Okay, now it's time evidently to get a new vehicle. So Preston, can you tell us what you want to do?
Oh, boy. We've got Two vehicles that are really.
Wait a minute, we need to wait for.
Oh, I'm
Lee.
sorry. Okay.
I didn't realize he was gone.
I didn't know we had an ATV. That was new to me.
Okay, can I just say, the volunteer firefighters were very excited when that showed up in the fire station. They're like, what is this? Everyone's like, that's Public Works, don't touch. And they're like, I don't know.
Well, you know,
Lots of
they might let you
conversations
borrow
there.
it.
Don't tell them that. No, no,
Did they
no.
leave the key in it?
Terrible
Yeah.
idea. Don't know, didn't ask.
Okay. You, Preston?
Okay, Your Honor, yeah, we've got two vehicles in the fleet that are literally on their last leg. And one is our dump, which is extremely bad shape. And we can't take it out of the city if we need anything from the local rock bid or McMinnville. We gotta have that hauled in. It's beyond its useful life by far. And that reality played into the fact that we need to replace one of our daily work vehicles. And I got to credit the crew for thinking we don't need a dump truck. We need to have that capability to fix our streets, do patches, this and that. And so it was a great idea to incorporate that one dump capability into one of our new utility vehicles. And so, the next few years down the line, as we replace another vehicle, we could consider that again, or maybe even go a little bigger instead of a 450, it could be a 550, depending. But I think this 450 is just the right size and for doing a lot of the street water sewer trenching repairs. And it's time. I could go through a list of what's wrong with these vehicles, but we've had them parked out here in case somebody want to look at them. And we stopped investing in both vehicles a few months ago. I mean, the dump truck, we stopped investing in that a long time ago. But we can't be throwing money against this one vehicle, which is our Dodge Dakota. It's not the oldest of our utility vehicles. It's just the most beat up. And let me say, put a plug in here for Chuck Holden and Ford. They're kind of the our local dealer in this region that takes care of us with our vehicles in the past. Other public service agencies, they take a lot of pride in speccing these vehicles, and we've gotten our last few from them, and you can see that their pricing is just it can't be beat, and so we've got a great local dealer, supports their product well, and we're hoping that council will support our efforts in public works and support this dump capability, but it also has a front end plow attachment if we ever need it for winter. We've got not just the downtown, we've got other streets that we need to maintain in icy and snow conditions, as well as the back end having a sand spreader. And so those attachments are in this bid. We're really excited about it. And I tell you, the crew, there's nothing more they would appreciate from this council to support their efforts like this. This crew has worked hard, never missed a beat during this whole entire pandemic. And we'd be in a world of hurt without our crew, I tell you. And so I'll be happy to answer any questions you have on this vehicle purchase.
Is this a trade-in value or?
No.
Okay. What, the city would have to get rid of the other two vehicles.
Correct. If council approved this tonight, I would subsequently come back with a council action to declare those surplus. Potentially, their dump truck could be worth a few thousand to a local farmer that's just keeping it and working it.
Mhm.
With it's not roadworthy, you know, but it could work on a farm. The other vehicle would be just scrap or parts, so that sort of thing. You know, we're talking about, you know, maybe $1,000 or something, but I'll have a better handle on that as far as surplus. That's something that council would have to declare surplus. But we're once this gets approved, basically those vehicles are going to sit until they're towed off site.
So does this dealership actually have this truck there, or are we gonna wait to get it? Just given the, you know, the nature of the way vehicle sales are right now, is this model there that we can get pretty quickly?
Yeah, is it a 2021 model?
No, this is a 2022 model, but there's the attachments and everything are bid, and there's a couple things with the vehicle that were they had to spec out of their partner dealer in Tacoma, actually. And so there could be a little delay with that. That dealership has since been bought out since we got the bid. So there could be a little pricing issue there. I don't expect it to be a big deal, but if there's any availability of things that might hold us up, that could be it. But this is a 2022 vehicle.
But it's like already built, we're not ordering a vehicle from Ford.
I haven't been told of any delays. I don't know if that's on site here in McMinnville or not. I don't know that.
With vehicles being 3 and 6 months out when you purchase
Yeah,
them.
it has to be
It's a
built.
valid question.
You bet it is. And the only significant holdup on I've been told is what some of the things that were bid for that would come out of Tacoma. So this could just be normal for 2022. I didn't get that far in to find out on delivery date. I'm sorry I didn't do that.
So I like the idea that combining, you know, two vehicles, and my concern is, so the dump truck is, you need a heavier rig. I just did a quick check, you know, the 450 gets about 8 to 9 miles per gallon. The 2005 Dakota that's being replaced gets about 16 city, roughly. So it's about half as good. You know, my concern is, are we taking a high use, lighter utility truck that gets a lot of miles and saying, well, now we've got this big thing that we're gonna put a lot of miles on, and increasing our vehicle costs with gas, but also with maintenance on a bigger thing that we need to be driving around as often as we are using the 2005 right now. Can you speak to that at all? Or?
You bet, Jim. This kind of vehicle, we would take out of town to get a delivery from a local quarry or something. We're not taking it to run samples up to Wilsonville or go to training outside. No, that's going to stick around. The other Dodge Dakota was used a lot for whatever needed, you know, anywhere to go. So it'll be used differently. If somebody needs to go out of town, they're going to use one of the other vehicles. So they're going to have to work on a process of sharing, which isn't a problem at all. In the past, it's basically been one vehicle side per person. And so this is going to change that up a little bit. And we won't be putting near the miles on the new dump truck as we did the Dakota. But they're hard miles, you know. They wear out fast. We're using it to grade streets, going up to the watershed, this and that. I mean, they're hard miles, you know, but not near as many as the Dodge Dakota.
What's in an amber beacon? Are we talking like a spotlight, or what's
it's yellow lights on a light bar
on the top? So it's just like, you know, a utility vehicle yellow lights. Got it. Okay.
And we didn't ask anybody for that, but good old Chuck Colvin They're gonna say, hey, you need a light bar. You know, you need a spotlight. Hey, we got this one light here that you're gonna need to be able to see your spreader back there. How it's, you know, spreading sand and when it's done and all that. And it's like, yeah, we need all that. And what about a utility lockbox, you know? So those are all the things that, you know, they're looking out for us. And it wasn't in our initial quote, but the work light is more what you're thinking of actually in the field, the spotlight type of thing you can target to where you're working.
And I think I just want to point out, I don't see the ATV listed as part of any of the vehicles back here on the work fleet or anything. So I was, like I said, I was surprised to know that we even had an ATV. Is there a reason we don't have it listed?
It's just not that substantial.
Yeah, okay.
Purpose, you know, we need it. It's pretty important. I mean, especially during the winter to get up to the watershed, do rounds, check on equipment. We're not taking a vehicle up there. And at this time of year, it's sloppy, you know. We even did a makeshift snow pusher in the front, you know, that doesn't do a whole lot, but it's something. And we really should be more equipped. But as of tonight, now I'll have visions in my head about fire volunteers taking it up the watershed. Yikes! You know, and
Get that out of the station.
yeah, we gotta get that. Yeah, right.
No, again, I'm pleased that we have one, and I can see the need for one, especially going up to Bluebird and up that way. So, okay, thank you.
So if there were pricing issues, you just have to come back for a new amount?
No, if it's within my authority, within this and that, I can certainly report to you, but I wouldn't have to come back unless you required it. I don't expect to be a big jump with the stuff from Tacoma. Otherwise, these are good prices. You get good quotes.
What is the limit on the signature authority that you have?
15,000.
Okay. This could go up to 93 and
No.
No, if the commercial people have given you this quote, I mean, you're gonna get pretty close.
Right.
We bought enough commercial vehicles that usually the price is spot on.
Okay.
I've never kind of been less than 100% sure on the price, but you know, Chuck Holden, they got employees that have vacations and this and that. I couldn't quite get the confirmation. And like I mentioned, that partner dealership they have up in Washington was bought out. So,
And we pay cash. We pay it in full.
correct. Yes.
The last thing we financed was the fire station, the fire truck.
Would you be able to verify it's not going to be a 6 to 9 month wait before you give them the check?
I can. You bet.
I mean, that would be my only concern is if we need something sooner, you know, it may not be desirable, but if we have to go with something that's in stock, you know, I just don't want to be waiting for something that we need and ends up costing us a lot more.
Well, if there is a delay of 6 months, they're not going to charge us more. If we commit to purchase it, it will come in at this price.
But I'm saying if we need something before 6 months, I don't want to be renting something for, you know, $500 a day that it's going to end up costing more than one of these other options. So
Yeah, I hear you. Sure.
Yeah, I think my big thing is it would just be good to have at least before the summer, preferably the spring, so that, you know, our public works guys can be doing the kind of stuff that they should be doing in the spring and summer.
just kind of a sanity check to make sure that we're not like, oh, you'll get your truck in a year.
Yeah, you guys hang out.
Right, thanks for the money.
Hang out for a while, yeah.
You know, most dealers, if that's the case, have the ability to do what they call dealer trades. Meaning they'll find that vehicle for you within a certain area of
The
the
problem's
country.
been the chip shortage
Yeah.
with the newer vehicles, that's what
They just don't
the
have the
dilemma's
inventory.
been, but it appears it's getting a little bit better.
It's just an unfortunate time to need to buy a vehicle.
Yeah, you're talking about like a loaner in the interim.
No, you know,
It's the same one, but they get from a different
they,
dealership.
you know, maybe
Oh,
the dealership in Eugene has one sitting on their lot, and they'll make a deal to trade it with them and bring it back up. there.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any concerns.
Neither do I. Okay, I guess if we're all in agreement, I need a motion.
I move to approve the purchase of a Ford 450 with 1-ton dump capability with snowplow and sand spreader attachments from Chuck Colvin Ford in the amount of $78,552.14.
I have a second.
I second that.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It's passed.
I have to say, it's funny that they add the 14 cents.
That's so you know they didn't make the number.
Right? I
They
know,
made the
I'm like
number.
14 cents.
Okay, so the next one on our list is the discussion on the administrator recruitment contract. And I'd like to ask Bill, our attorney, because Bill, our attorney, will be working with the COG directly on this process. So he will give us some information and answer any questions that you have. Preston is due to retire on the 1st of January of next year. So
The 31st,
the
so.
31st of December,
January.
January, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize we had him in all the way through January. Excellent. So we got to start looking for somebody now. Because with the hiring market and everything else, and I don't know if you've heard, there's been a lot of changes. There has been some changes in the last 6 months in the city administrators in our city, in our small cities area here. So I think it's going to be a pretty competitive search. And the longer that we have to do it, the better off we're going to be. You guys haven't been through one of them, and I was trying to remember how long it took the last time when we hired Preston, and I think it took us about 6 months by the time we had all of the advertising, all of the reviewing of all of the council reviewing all of the resumes, and then choosing somebody, and then having a meet and greet, and then offering it to somebody, and that guy a month later turned it down, and then we had to go back and redo it, stuff like that. So it took us a long time. There was quite a few things that came up that we needed to adjust to.
Your Honor, we have, Bill Monahan, our city attorney, and on the Zoom is Scott Danson.
Oh, this is a
the
gentleman.
executive director of the COG, and this would be a real tag team approach. And there are other firms out there that are headhunter firms that do this kind of thing. Nobody near as affordable as what you're going to get from COG. And between Scott and Bill, there's a ton of experience there. So, Bill, are you going to kind of lead, or is Scott? Hi, Scott.
I think Scott's gonna take the lead.
Okay.
I didn't realize Scott was going to be here on Zoom. You didn't tell me
That was just a recent thing that he was able to join us tonight.
Great.
Good evening, y'all. Bill, you want me to take it?
Yeah, and maybe I should just make one clarification first. So as you all know, I'm your contract city attorney through the COG. So I'm a contractor to the COG, contracted to you. So in this particular environment, Scott would be doing the recruitment through the contract. And if you choose to go with the COG, I would be your city attorney on this project, separated from what Scott's doing. But the beauty of that is then I would be assigned the role of taking your direction to negotiate the contract and the terms. So that would be my role, unless there's some additional assistance that you need me to get involved with Scott. So I wanted to make that distinction.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's good to see everybody. I'm sorry I can't see everyone, folks to the left, but yeah, I had planned not to be here this evening. I actually had a date with my wife that I could not give up until COVID showed up. So I think you all know what that means. So, but we were going to see a bluegrass show. We're from back east, as you can tell, and we were going to see something, a special date that we've been planning for a while. So glad to be here. The city administrator, city manager recruitment process is a service that we do offer through the COG. We've recently completed 3 in the region. We did Turner, Donald, and we're currently working with Dundee to close that process out. And then we have future contracts with 2 other towns over in Marion County. The COG, this is one of the services we provide in addition to legal services like Bill provides to you folks. But we also provide planning services, other technical assistance services, as well as transportation planning and some other specialty areas such as business lending for small businesses. COG's been around since 1957 for those folks who are counting years. So we're at our 65th anniversary this year. The recruitment process is really one of those things that we try to offer. There's 2 reasons. We had not been doing them for a while. I was a city manager for 30 years. So before I started doing COG work. And so I've been in the business for a very long time and have been a member of ICMA and the North Carolina, Virginia, and South Carolina Management Association programs as well. So we decided to bring this back. And like I said, it's been very active. There are 9 openings in the 3-county region, Yamhill, Polk, and Marion right now. And as the mayor indicated, like everything else in the private sector, the public sector is it's a tight labor market right now. Our experience has been that these processes can last anywhere from 6 months to a year, depending on the level of engagement of council, level of engagement of the public that you folks may want to choose to have as part of that, a level of involvement by staff. If you folks are going to do any survey work to narrow in what you want to do and what's called an administrator's profile. The profile is really y'all's coming together about what kinds of qualities do you want in the candidates that would be applying for the job, so that you discuss those and develop those up front in a public process, allow the public to have some opportunity to participate in that, either by ability to speak at a meeting, and then you generally will vote on that profile. By doing that under Oregon statutes, what you're allowed to do is then you have more flexibility at whatever point in time in your process. You can go into executive session to do some of the work that has to be done, including discussion on final candidates or interviews if you choose to do it that way. There is and has been, and it is quite normal practice in the state of Oregon. A lot of places will do an open process where they will let the candidates know in advance to coming into the selection process that at some point in time in your selection, you may have a public interaction piece. You may publish the top 3, for example, or you may have a meet and greet as part of the final interview process. And the only trick to that is you just want to make sure that you're upfront with the candidates about that. And you remember that most candidates who are going to apply most likely have and are coming from currently being in a position. So if they don't get selected, part of that process is they don't want to hurt their chances back. But those decisions, they can make those decisions as long as you're very open about it. What you don't want to do is have a closed process and then open it up at the end, or have an open process and close it down on the other side. One of the things that you want to develop in the administrator process is trust. It's one of the bigger decisions that the council will make. You will find that your candidates take it very, very seriously. They come most likely from other public sector jobs where they have also been part of the Code of Ethics, for example, under the ICMA, which talks about public service as neutral process where we're not picking sides, we're not in parties. Our job is to give the best advice to city council and then to carry out those wishes, the wishes of council in a very neutral and fair and open way. So a lot of your candidates will come with those kinds of expectations and have come from those kinds of ethical public service backgrounds. That's generally who you attract. Occasionally you will get some private sector folks who are interested, and the skill sets can transfer back and forth. There's no doubt about that. I do not have a degree in public administration. I have an MBA. I have a degree in economics, that kind of thing. And I do have private sector experience in addition to my public sector. But the fact of the matter is public service is usually much like the priesthood or maybe school teaching, usually a calling. Folks feel obliged to go into it, and they like to serve communities and others with creativity and fairness. And so you're usually attracting those kinds of folks who do believe in public service. And I think that's a good thing. Public service is different than the private sector. You don't have sunk cost in the public service. All those dollars are owned by the public. They're owned by the citizens of Lafayette in this particular case. So your transparency on your numbers, your transparency on what you folks do and how you deliver services, it does require folks to understand that and respect those processes, such as city council meetings once a month or twice a month, and planning commissions and boards of adjustment and the like. So generally folks have had some experience and have been trained in that area to be able to advise councils on the best public policies that you folks need to move forward. So our process is designed in concert between ourselves and the council. We play a hybrid role. Some recruiters out there in the private sector will do all of the legwork up front, including probably self-selecting and getting down to narrower numbers. If you folks just did it on your own, you folks would be, you'd have to come up with a system in order to begin to narrow it down. We try to fit somewhere in the middle and help you folks do that. We use two guidebooks. We use the ICMA, International City Management Association's Recruitment Guidebook, and we use an old guidebook that's no longer used by the League of Oregon Cities, but the League of Oregon Cities Recruitment Guidebook as well. So we use those because they're compliant with Oregon law. They're compliant with the kinds of issues that you folks will need to make decisions about, the kinds of skill sets. So they'll help you in trying to hone in on some of the skill sets that you folks are looking for in people. And they'll give you some ideas about the process. In the paperwork that I forwarded to you folks, I don't know if it's part of your packet or not. If it is not, I will make sure I send it to you folks so you can peruse it. In that process, my recommendation is generally an open process. And that's the kind of process where at some point in time, you are going to want to figure out how you want to help the public be part of that process, and where your staff might want to be as part of that process. And it'll also challenge you folks as council members to come together on what you're looking for in the candidate. And those are meetings that are held in public. So our job is to guide you folks and help you with that. We do the back work. We receive the applications and sort them and put them in slots for you folks and do that kind of work, answer a lot of the questions that may come up. A lot of candidates will call in advance and ask for things. We'll make sure that we have available to us things like the audit, the budget, any strategic or long-term planning guides that you folks have, or your city charter, for example. We'll also make sure they have a copy of that so folks can peruse that. And we'll try to assist them in guiding them through that. And that's our role. And those are the kinds of things that we do. Our charges are set by the board of directors for the Council of Government here. And so that's what we do. We do them under their guidance. They're bifurcated by the size of town. Secondly, whether it takes a year or 6 months, it's the same charge. That's really not the point. And if the first go around doesn't work, we work for you folks. We're actually owned by the 33 towns and the 3 counties in our region. We work for you folks. We're a cooperative that's there to help you be the best city that you can be and help you get through the things you need to. So our job is to stick with you from beginning to end and help you get through the process. And so our time is usually struck between and my time in dealing with you folks and helping to shape that process and working through that, working with the candidates. And then we have administrative help that sorts and puts things together and does all the blind testing and making sure that we do that. We always recommend that you use a veteran. As a matter of fact, Oregon state law requires that you have a veterans preference section, and we make sure that we have an application form for everyone to fill out that meets current standards for BOLA, and we make sure that we get all that information and blind keep it up front, so that what you folks are doing is picking people with the best qualifications as you move through that process. And so we serve as a third party that lowers your risk exposure and things like that. And you folks know, employee matters can generally be a large piece of your risk issue in a city. So that's not to degrade the employees. They're what make y'all tick on a daily basis and what deliver the services. So we're real happy to have them, but it is the area that we have a lot of exposure, and we want to make sure we dot I's and cross T's for you folks. So that's the process that we do. We are currently in the middle of them. We have more coming up this year. And I'm going to stop there and see if I can answer any questions. Anyone? Think of us as a Ford F-450 at a Ford F-150 price. And I can say that because I have owned a Ford F-150, 1977 302 Boss Pack with a dual Edelbrock heads and a 4x4 system that I built myself and redid the transmission system on back many, many years ago with my dad. So.
So I had a question.
Yes, sir.
What was in the packet? It looks like you provide kind of a package deal, and then there's additional things for advertising and other stuff. Is that something that when we get to those decisions, we opt in? That right now would just be kind of that we're talking about the base package of we want to help you find somebody, and then down the road there may be other decisions that we change the price some, but that would be when we get to that bridge, I guess.
Okay.
The additional costs that you would have in it that you need to be prepared for are advertising costs, because it does cost to advertise in the publications. Now, we've listed what are the public service places that we advertise, but if you folks want other places advertised, we can certainly advertise them in other local newspaper, Portland paper, Eugene, John Day, whatever, something like that. But there are generally areas, and we put it on our website as well. So that access in is free to you folks. It's part of the price, and we would put that there. The other costs are going to be things like if you engage a public process, for example, a meet and greet, or you want to do a survey, we would tell you up front what those costs would be so that you folks would have an opportunity to understand what those costs are before you entered into them. And then the last one would be background check costs and any other negotiating costs that you folks are driving. The process kind of drives itself at that point in time. If you're negotiating, that's where your attorney's really doing it. If you want us involved with it, it's part of the package. But if we have to go through it twice, for example, you could see your advertising costs being twice, for example, or something to that effect. But generally, you're going to know what your costs are when we get to that point that we start that part of the process. But those are the kinds of prices you should expect. We have put in our paperwork what are the current prices that we're aware of in those publications.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I did see those.
Okay, Bill, you said that you represent us in negotiating and stuff like that. So that is separate than the $9,000.
That's correct. And I want to make that distinction that I'd be representing you, so that's not within the package. So it would be my hourly rate for whatever involvement I would have. And typically, for instance, I'm working with Scott, I represent another city, but not through the COG, strangely enough. And we're working together on that matter. But there, I only come in when the council needs me to executive sessions, or I take direction and we create terms and send them back to the negotiator. So it's a limited number of hours. And it's, as I might have mentioned to you, I know I mentioned to Preston, we have a very up-to-date contract from one of these other communities that we could offer to you that we think will get you pretty far without having to invest a lot.
Okay.
Your Honor, as far as costs, we will also have something in the budget for next fiscal year that would handle these extra costs, Bill's involvement, relocation expenses.
Right.
Could be a big one. And so we want to have enough in there to accommodate council's desires when you go to advertise. How much are we going to spend to bring people in, as well as with the final candidate, are you willing to pay relocation expenses, which is very standard in a position like this. So we'll have our recruitment in our budget. It'll cover COG and extra things as much as we can determine, to cover it all.
Okay.
Are there any other questions that I can answer for council?
Anybody have any discussion items, anything that they want to talk about, how the process works, or
How
anything
soon
like
would
that?
it get going?
How soon would you start on this process?
Well, I think I have seen some of these processes take 6 months, but I have also seen them take as long as a year. We're in one that's probably going to be by the time the candidate comes in at a year.
Mhm.
So I think the sooner you start on that process, the better off you are. And we can start whenever you folks want us to. So we've put an example of what our agreement would look like. We'd be happy to start. If you're still not comfortable, I'm happy to come up there and meet with you folks. I'm happy to receive a phone call, chit chat with you about any aspect of it, and maybe the ICMA book and any of the other sources that we use. So I'm happy to do that to give you folks a comfort level to do this. This is the one time as a council that you are, one of the challenges I have for you folks, because I've been in Preston's chair, I've been, Bill's also been a city manager in addition to being a city attorney as well. We've been in those chairs where we sat on the other side. And, one of the things that a good quality candidate is looking for is a council that may not be on the same page on every issue, but certainly is working and trying to row the boat and do those things kind of, if it's not in concert, at least it is in a fashion where you're talking to each other. Some candidates will demand, certain votes. I've never been quite like that. I've never been in a situation where it's been a split vote, but it has happened before out there, and some candidates may be, may raise that as an issue. But this is a council's opportunity to come together to agree on those qualities that they want in somebody. It's a big change. Your staff is usually anxious to want to be participate and maybe be part of at least some of the input on that process. You may want to hear from them about the kinds of things that would be important to those folks to get jobs done and things like that. So it is a good process, and I think it's a good process for council. I really do. I think it's one of those times you really get to talk to each other about what you want out of the city, where you want it to go, what you believe in, and what your constituents are telling you, and where you might need to compromise and where you might need to bend a little bit here or there, but to make the whole thing work well. So it's a good opportunity for everybody to come to the table and have that discussion.
So how many people, how many city managers, this process, how many times have you done it in the last couple of years, did you say?
Well, I'll tell you is I've been the COG director here since February. I came with the ice storm. You're welcome. For those of you who are looking to blame somebody for something. Came here then, and since I have been here, we've done 3 city manager evaluations. We do those free for our membership. We have done 3 city manager recruitments since I've been here, and I've been working on any one of those 3 since April or May of 2021 in some way or fashion. Some took a little shorter, some took a little longer. And then we also helped with 3 interim searches, one down in Kaiser, one in Yamhill, which is going through an interim process as well right now. And then in Donald before they went with a permanent city manager down there. So those are what we have done since I've been here in February. That are traditionally we've done many in the past since the past 3 directors have all been involved in some way in recruitment.
Good.
Do you ever see issues with if the process, we got through it in 6 months and we say you're not starting for 5 or 6 months? Do you see, candidates walk away because they won't start sooner?
Well, number one, to go through a 6-month process and to say it's not going to start for another 5, that would be a timing issue. We would want to encourage you to say, this is when the due dates are so that they align with what you have. Now, I'm going to assume something here, correct me if I'm wrong in this assumption, please, is that Preston has given you a year's notice and has recommended that someone come in like ourselves to assist you now as opposed to waiting till the end. So I think what we would want to do is one of the first things is I would have that professional conversation with Preston as to what's your expected date out? How do you see it working backwards? Do you want, does council want overlap between administrators or do they not? Do they want those kinds of things? And then we'll also build in things like if you make an offer today, generally most qualified candidates have to give their folks notice. Now, Oregon, it may say 2 weeks, maybe it says 30 days. Professionally, generally, it can be anywhere from 30, 45, sometimes 60 days. It depends on what kind of contract that administrator, if you hire another administrator, might be under. So we try to calculate all of that in and work the calendar backwards. So the process that you would be going through would be the kind of thing, if Preston's leaving by January, I'll give you for example, if he's leaving by the end of January and you want a month overlap, you want your person to be on board in December. Well, December is a complicated month. I think you folks know that. Get enough holidays, it gets complicated, right? But so we might recommend that you start your interview processes in October or September to make sure that you land that so that you time it with the one administrator going out and the next one coming in. Did I get to where you were maybe coming from in that?
I think so. It sounds like you have enough experience with the timing that, we'll be able to kind of rely on your experience in that matter. Because yes, we do have, right now, January 31st is what we're expecting for current. So I just don't want to start the process too early and then have, these good candidates walk away because,
sure. If you engage us and say, we want you to start 2 months from now, that's fine too. So understand from our perspective, we're not as client driven as maybe the private sector's recruitment groups might be. But what I would tell you is that a lot of the work that goes in before you even get to the advertising stage, folks, really will depend on you and your engagement and how we get through that part of the process. And you feel good about that profile. The public has had a chance to opine about it. People feel confident about, you've put the process in there. We've put a skeletal process in there and said, here's a straw man of what we think we might do. and people like that, and you get there, that can be a couple. I know that sounds crazy, but that can be a couple months. That's because you folks have day jobs, and your day jobs only allow you so much off time to dedicate. Plus, you've got to still pay attention to all the other things in the city. So you need to understand that this, by starting it now, it's probably good, because then we have enough time to get all the pieces in place, get that schedule together, get that ad out there, and then work it from that direction.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I don't have any more questions. Greg, do you have any?
No, I think the information I have in here was pretty good, so. I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. Lee? Okay, I think you've answered all of our questions. We now
Great.
just have to decide what to do. Thank you very much for your time.
You're more than welcome, and y'all have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
So I do one thing for you. If that you'll be putting together the contract, I'm sure. How early do you start on that? I mean, you don't need to know who the candidate, the selected candidate is before you start on the contract. Correct?
Not really, unless we're talking about specific terms. Some of your managers, what would be best for us is that the council compiles a list of all your benefits. For instance, vacation, how do you approve the vacation? And then as you see the candidates, when you make your selection, if you're number one candidate, it would be best if you identify, okay, this person is at such stage in their career, as well as salary that we want to offer, what would the benefit package be? And then we would prepare first a term sheet, which would identify what the council has as its total offer, so the person can compare that. Maybe counter proposals might come, and either simultaneous with the term sheet or immediately after would plug those items in. The contract's pretty standard, though, unless there are specific terms you are interested in.
Right. Okay.
What do you guys want to do?
Getting started on it, but it's gonna take a little bit to get the quality and all that.
Well, I think if we start now, we can take our time in developing our profile of what we want
And that's what-
in a city manager. And, since like he said, that all of us work, then, we're just going to have our times in the council, maybe a special session. And that could take us 2-3 months.
Well, and I also get in the public's input, so yeah, I think the sooner the better, because at least if the profile process goes quicker, that's fine, we can hold off on advertising, as indicated.
Yeah, okay. And if we can get this guy and he can set up our process and our time, then we know where we're at, I think.
Yeah, because next month's gonna be real busy, it'll be in February, right?
I don't know, February.
No, it starts in May,
May.
it's budget
The
stuff.
budget.
April and May are super.
Yeah, so if we could start that February, March, I think that's more realistic.
Yeah, because then we can take a break in February and April or May when the budget comes, or you can, okay. Okay, then what I need is an emotion, and then we need a vote.
I move to approve the recruitment service agreement with the Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments.
Second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Excellent.
Myself, that was the last voting. Thank you for understanding.
No problem. Let's take a minute and use the restrooms and stuff. Sheila's going to be leaving us. She's not feeling very well.
I've sat as long as I can sit. So I
Well,
seen
thank
this
you.
fine search yesterday. I need to get a ride. Not.
Not fun, I know. Like I say, when you're relaxed, give me a call because I want to talk to you about the phone app.
Okay. I took the packet of it, whatever that they handed. And then I got the link
Well, just
information.
okay,
from your
I
applications.
I talked to her quite a bit. She seems really excited about the city.
Yeah.
And she's new, so she's positive.
I was just curious.
And I have another person that I may, I've got to talk to them, but I may send it to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I want to get moving on that. I just kind of sitting in one spot is just really hard.
Skills.
Good night, Sheila.
Take care.
Well, I tell you one thing, car accidents. I can't believe it.
So everybody.
She in a car accident?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
It was just recently, and I guess
I guess she was, yeah, I guess I did hear. But I didn't know how bad it was. She got rear-ended, right?
Yeah. And you know, those rear-ended jobbies, sometimes you think you're okay, and then 2 weeks later, you're, well, you got T-bone, so you got pretty jarred pretty good.
So that position gets hired by the council. And they're paid by the city.
We're not muted to say that. I don't know if that matters, but
What did you say?
we're not muted on YouTube.
I was not at fault.
There you go.
For the record.
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling a little beat up myself.
Yeah, that's right.
My wrestling with my son, because he's on the wrestling team. It's like,
I don't know if that's a good idea.
I know, I used to be on the wrestling team, right? I know, and it's like, I'm so sore over here, and I got a spot over here, and I was like, oh. Oh, yeah, every time I breathe, it hurts. It wasn't a good idea.
As tall as you now?
He's taller than I am.
That really wasn't a good idea.
I think I weigh more than him, but not by much, you know, maybe 5 pounds. He's on the MAC wrestling team, because they don't offer it at his school.
I think they
Yeah.
like just like with this process, yeah.
On the hardwood floor, no, you know, to say, right in the living room, right there.
Yeah.
Come on, let's go.
It's not even padding.
Nothing. Yeah, and it was a quick match. Quick match.
Question, did you win the match?
You know,
Or did you both
nobody got
just
pinned. Nobody got pinned. I think I released him. I let go because I was, you know,
You were done.
I was like, okay.
So you're.
Yeah, I think he would probably say he won, but if he gave me another 3 minutes, maybe I would have won. I don't know. I like to think I would have won. I don't know.
Just say you guys took a draw.
Yeah, we'll call it a draw.
Yeah.
Boy, it got warm in here all of a sudden.
I had the opposite.
Well, I had to use my fingers.
Yeah.
And I don't even get hot.
I'm always.
Someone was asking me if they knew what was going in there, because there's a lot of activity.
Now we lost Preston. Preston.
Small knickknacks.
And they won't let you have.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Anyway, but yeah, I wanted to like sit and kind of see how these are going.
Okay, shall we get started? Okay, can we get Elaine back up on the screen?
Sometimes.
There's Elaine. There's Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
Hi, y'all. How are you?
Howdy.
Well, Elaine, I'm going to turn this over to you, and you can read us through what you need us to accomplish tonight.
Great. I was listening to the wrestling story while I was waiting. We have 4 grandchildren who think it's the most thing in the world, fun thing in the world to wrestle down either grandma or grandpa. So just wait till you have 4 of them jumping on you at one time. So yeah, I have empathy for you. So we did our survey on the urban renewal projects, received back responses. I sent out a memo summarizing those responses. I thought I would walk through that quickly for you tonight and then just talk about what the next steps would be. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Sounds great.
So I compiled the responses which were supported by 4 or more of the responders. We had 6 responses. So I think these are the responses that seem to be, I think everybody would feel fairly comfortable having these in the plan. Our business development assistance, and under that, incentives for removal of blight, including demolition, matching storefront facade improvements, and matching business loans and grants for capital improvements. Under housing development assistance, the only category that got a lot of positive response was incentives for removal of blight, including demolition. And we can talk about that housing development assistance as we move down. Under city identity, this seemed an area that received a lot of support. So district signage, welcome, business, wayfinding, community board, streetscape, sidewalk, street trees, furniture, lighting, bike parking, pedestrian safety upgrades, connections to Terry Park, and park improvements. And then in infrastructure, extending water and sewer across Highway 99 to the industrial property and looping utility systems. So those seem to get the most support, 4 out of the 6, sometimes even more than 4. So I think those should be projects that, unless somebody raises a red flag, should totally be included in your plan. There were 5 projects that were offered as potential new projects, and I always love it when people do that because it shows their thinking about the community and what needs might be met. So one was bury overhead lines, and that is a fantastic project. It is also an expensive project, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't consider it, at least for a portion of your area. So that's something that I think we should continue to talk about. If only one person put that down, so we should talk tonight and see if that receives support from others. It makes a huge difference visually in neighborhood. Pedestrian crossing at Bridge Street, update and upgrade the street lighting, fix Washington Street between 2nd and 3rd, and public restrooms along 99 West with a business partner, so not totally on your own. And we'll come back to those after I kind of walk through the whole survey, so we'll come back to those and get some input on them. Projects which were split half yes were upgrades of the water sewer storm system and auto bicycle parking. Some projects on which I think people needed more information was under administration and planning, establishing a vertical housing zone, maybe assisting with future zoning changes to study that and to help implement those. Business development assistance, land acquisition, parking lot. People weren't totally no, but they weren't totally yes. So I think that needs discussion. Development of affordable housing. I think also there were people who were kind of interested, but weren't sure how you would do that. City identity. There were some questions about whether the permanent office for the chamber is really something that you ought to do through urban renewal funds or not. So there was, enough yes marks and enough maybe marks that I thought it ought to be talked about. It wasn't a total no. Projects that were not supported really at all were a traffic study and a wastewater treatment subsidy for winemaking, brewery, distillery. And then there were some that were just half no. So incentives for site assembly for more dense development, land acquisition from willing sellers, matching grant loan program for housing. Under city identity, Abigail Scott Dunaway Park upgrades. There were 2 maybes. and one no, and then nobody else marked in that. And then an e-vehicle charging station, 2 maybes and 3 no's. So after going through all of that, what looked clear to me were things that were supported were incentives for removal of blight in both commercial and residential properties, that seemed very important to everybody. Business development assistance, city identity projects, just an upgrade to that water sewer and extending the sewer line across to the big parcel where if that parcel actually develops, that's where you will get increments. So that's important to help make sure that parcel actually does develop in the future. And I double counted or double put in the incentives for removal of blight. I thought that was really important. So let's go back up to the new projects that people put in and just have a discussion about each one of those and see how people feel about them. So the first was bury overhead lines.
So I'm the one that put that in. And I even put, if I remember right, I literally have no idea what that cost looks like.
Yeah.
It could be thousands, it could be hundreds of millions. I don't know. So I didn't even know if that was like a feasible thing.
Well, burying overhead lines might help us with our power outages.
Maybe, I think even just doing it down 3rd Street would make such a visual impact on driving through Lafayette, even if you don't do it through, 4th and 2nd, on the other side streets.
Estacada did that, and I believe I showed you in one of our prior meetings some visuals of their streetscape downtown, and they just did it in their main downtown area. And you're right, it makes a huge difference visually. So if other people are interested, you may as well keep it on the list as something to go out. We are recommending that you do a public survey to get some input from the public on that. And then as we develop a budget that goes with these I can do some double checking on what the current costs for bearing over headlines is so that we can talk about it more. So is there kind of a general consensus that there's an interest in that?
I'd like to keep it.
I think it should be a long-term goal, whether we can fully fund it from this or
not,
work
yeah.
towards that. I think it's a noble goal.
Yeah.
Great. Pedestrian crossing on Bridge Street.
This is a favorite of Sheila's. Sheila wants one of those crossing right there at Bridge Street. She's talked about that for about 1.5 years now.
So is she talking about 99 like across?
Right where Bill's Market.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've almost hit people so many times there,
Yeah.
at least 3 times. I've almost hit someone. Okay, not 3 tonight, but yeah. I haven't driven that way tonight, but I could certainly make it happen.
It's so dark.
It's very dark. So many, anyways, we've discussed that many times. I am not opposed to that at all.
Well, the parking right there, people park at Bill's and you can't see
when
the
come-
pedestrian stepping into.
bombing
the-
out.
That's what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bad spot. Maybe we should paint that red so they can't park that close to the, in the meantime, right? While we're waiting for
Well, I was just thinking,
well, if there's more
lighting, I could have actually seen the person.
I've noticed that a few times, people coming out of Bill's.
Well, 99's been really dark for quite a while. I don't know, are the lights back on again yet? Have they been turned on?
Not for 2.5 blocks. They're still working on that. They're supposed to finish it tomorrow.
It seemed darker than usual.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, all of the ornamental lights are on and working well, except for right by City Hall are 2.5.
Yeah.
I was, no.
Okay,
I just.
so back on track.
So let's keep on that,
Yeah.
okay.
The only reason, I just want to say one thing on that. The only reason I don't support it for this is because I kind of think it should be done before we really even get funds from this. I mean, we've got it on our CIP. I think that should be done before we have funds from here and just do it. It's a safety issue.
Was there a reason we weren't doing it with the other one that, at the time, the one coming in?
Because it was separate
It
from
wasn't designed
ODOT.
yet.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
ODOT
designed
was
yet, and
separate.
ODOT was already, had already
That's what it
started.
was, okay, I thought there was something.
I mean, we
I
can,
agree.
and the thing about it is even if we set these up, if they're already done, then they just come off the list. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, but I'm assuming that if that's a safety issue, it might need to be handled sooner than
Right.
later.
But we can
got
leave it on there.
counselors on
Yeah.
sitting people over there. Yeah.
No, I agree. We should do it as quick as possible, but if something happens and we aren't able to, we might as well leave this on the list and go from there.
Sure, and then,
That's fine.
then we'll try to get them.
Yeah.
I think there's just a lot to figure out over on Bridge with the development going in
Right.
there. There's a lot we have to figure it out over there, but yeah, I agree, leave it on the list for now.
Yeah, that'll be on your CIP for next fiscal year.
Great.
Correct.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we'll keep this on the list, but we'll also note that the city would hope to be able to do it with other funding
Exactly.
prior to this having to be funded by urban renewal. Okay, that sounds great. Update, upgrade street lighting.
I don't know who put this, but I fully support it.
I did this because one thing I'd like to do is I'd like to see our ornamental lighting go all the way to the end of 99 because it stops. And it doesn't go all the way. And then I think it'll be about time for us to modernize our lamp posts. You know, and that type of stuff. And I looked at one of the lamp posts yesterday and it's starting to crack. So I think by the time we get the money to do this, they'll be ready.
Lighting's always important in a downtown area.
It is.
Okay.
Yep, I'll stay.
Okay, so I hear no opposition to that being on the list. And that will go under identity, I think, city identity. Fix Washington Street between 3rd and 2nd.
You know, I don't, what,
That's Bill's.
It's the first, no, it's the first one that's got those big like walls. out for the-
Yeah, where American, or where El Toro is. That's-
okay,
Yeah.
that's what,
Washington.
okay.
So
Then
that's-
second and third.
I'm sorry,
are
I
like,
clearly don't drive that side of town.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. What
in the
is,
pawn, you know where the pawn shop is on that corner?
yeah,
So if they're talking, that's third and between 3rd and 2nd.
Are they talking about where the sidewalk ended?
Literally, I think that's that spot.
I don't think there's a sidewalk that goes from 3rd to 2nd. I think they put that huge retaining wall.
Right. The shit buster.
And then you can cross over Washington to the other side, but I don't think there's a sidewalk that goes down there. And
so when it says fix, what do we have, what are we doing?
I think Sheila might have been the one. to put that
yeah,
down,
I didn't add that, but it's a bad street, but you know, so is Bill's Market on Bridge Street, you know, and
I think there's a number of
That's right.
segments that could use some updating and
side street repair.
I think she's just talking about asphalt and maybe a sidewalk that on one side or the other that goes from 3rd to 2nd.
Kind of like over on Jefferson, where it was upgraded between 2nd and 3rd. Remember how Jefferson was like,
Yeah.
hey, you know,
Yeah.
something like that, doing that.
Okay.
Really, you could do it to any of those side
I
streets,
want to see much of those done, but
all the side streets, yeah.
so.
Well, I think that type of repair is on the list to do in the whole area that we're talking
is.
about, isn't
It
it?
is.
All the streets to be upgraded at some
Bill's-
point in time.
Where Bill's is.
But this is a real bad one? Okay.
Does that fit under streetscape sidewalks, street trees, or is that?
The sidewalk part would fit under that, but actual just, you know, I don't know if you need just an overlay on the streets or if the streets need to be totally redone. Maybe.
I would imagine they need to be rebuilt. I think they probably need to be rebuilt.
Expensive, that's definitely the assumption.
And we don't actually have that in this plan at all. I don't know if you have that in your CIP plan or if you want to add that to this plan, but right now, the only infrastructure we have deals with the water and sewer systems. We don't have anything on transportation other than, you know, sidewalks.
Well, I don't think we're gonna have enough money in our regular CIP to rebuild some of these streets.
Yeah.
So I think what we're gonna have to do is put it as part of this, and what we can't do through the CIP. we do through this. Because, we're gonna create a lot of SDC monies for a couple of years with the new division, but once that's done, we're finished. We don't have a lot of building, so we're gonna need some money somewhere.
Well, really, we should use some of that to connect the new development all the way down Bridge Street,
Yeah,
So-
it should probably stay on there because I don't,
yeah, but
it's being able to do it another way.
I mean. Yeah.
I think we should add it in the
Maybe-
infrastructure section.
Yeah, maybe broaden it up from Washington Street from Second. to
Maybe
Third.
something more specific.
I was gonna say more specific, please.
I mean, I think the specific work, yes, but I think we all agree there's more than just that street.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we should put something like major street repairs,
Side street repairs.
side street
I
repairs.
think some of them would be able to increase parking too, because like you said, at Jefferson, they added a number of spots.
Mhm.
So, yeah, let's keep it generic and
Okay, we can't use the word repair. We're going to have to use a different word because just
Redevelopment?
repairing streets, yeah, rebuilding. Repairing streets not allowed with urban renewal. So
But rebuilding is.
rebuilding is.
Okay.
So, you can't go in and put just an overlay or go in and fix potholes. That's supposed to be maintenance that's done out of your other budgets.
Mhm.
But rebuilding a street and putting in curb, sidewalk, all of that can be done. So I will word that the way I know legally it needs to be worded and add it in. And is that just the side streets?
Yeah, we have brand new sidewalks. down
Yeah, our, I was gonna say, our 99 looks gorgeous.
Okay.
So are you gonna move that down to the infrastructure section?
Yes. And then the last new potential one to talk about is public restrooms along 99W someplace with a business partner. And I think, if there's any interest in that, we could just put that in as a potential for if you end up working with somebody on a new development. Kind of like, I know I showed you the cheese factory in Bandon, where they did put in public restrooms that are maintained by the cheese factory. They were built by the urban renewal area. So we could keep something in your plan that just talked about if you did significant assistance to a development that you would maybe want to consider that as part of that assistance, if it's supported by the rest of you.
If we're looking at building this area and on First Street as a walking area and a lot of tourists and stuff like that, I think a set of bathrooms would be great because, if you go anywhere and it says bathrooms for customers only. Well, you have a lot of people that are not necessarily your customer, but they're walking through the city and doing stuff. So they'll have a place to, and then maybe they'll stay longer and they'll spend more money.
Well, but if they're spending money, they're customers.
Right.
well, but not everywhere they're gonna spend money.
Yeah, I'm hesitant because, like the city that I grew up in, they put in these nice public restrooms. It's been 15 years, I revisited, those are not what I want here 15 years from now.
Well, that's a commitment on our part to make sure they get maintained. It's just like it's just like the Joel Perkins ones.
Totally agree. I just think that that's a lot of extra heavy lifting to maintain extra items. Yes, this is just a bathroom, but as it stacks up, we're talking about extra personnel down the road. And I think that it's more costly than just putting bathrooms down there.
How much time do you spend on maintaining the bathrooms at Joel Perkins?
We service those once a week. We're checking them every day, and then we're paying a service to do them once a week. But it's cleaning and restocking. At least twice a week.
Elena, is this my understanding, kind of what you were just saying, is that with like the cheese factory, they were handling the upkeep of the bathrooms. It was just the city used the urban growth money to essentially build them.
Correct.
But take on the responsibility providing care for them?
They do not have the cheese factory maintains them.
Okay, and is that what's being proposed here?
I was just suggesting that we don't have that kind of development yet. I'm just saying that the person who put this down said with a business partner. And so that would be a way that you could do it in the future. I do understand, I do a lot of traveling around the state more before COVID. And I know of every clean restroom in almost every city. So, I know where it is in Sandy, and I know in Sisters, and it just depends what way I go out to Bend. So I do think having a nice clean restroom does make people stop in your community. But again, the maintenance of it is an issue. If you're going to have a restroom, you have to keep it clean and nice, or that doesn't work for anybody.
Okay.
And I don't know, depending on it would depend on the business and how well established they are. I'm not sure which business I fully trust to keep that.
Well, that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were able to get one of the wineries to do a nice tasting room somewhere near in your area, that would be somebody that you could partner with and have a public restroom as part of that, and they could maintain it.
Well, I don't see a problem with leaving it on the list.
There's plenty
of things to go through.
We'd have
make
to
sure
work
that-
out
Right.
Yeah.
when we get there, but it gets down to this.
Yeah.
I see it as a huge benefit for people frequenting downtown, so they don't have to walk down to Common Park and use a porta potty.
Right.
Well, also with kids, like your options are kind of limited. I guess a little bit now with El Toro, but like the bar, you can't take kids in there. So,
You got the gas station,
oh yeah, I forget about them.
gambling.
It's an awful small area.
I gotta tell you, the gas station restrooms have just gotten worse and worse over time. So they usually don't cut it if you're wanting to stop at a restroom. Yours could be different.
Ours is very clean. I've been there before.
Okay, well, I'd say.
Okay, let's move on to the
Leave it on
next.
So let's just talk about the maybes a little bit.
Are we finished with the yeses? What about the auto and bicycle parking?
We can come back. They were half yes. So upgrades to the water sewer storm. There was half yes, and auto bicycle parking is half yes. So I guess yes, let me know whether you want me to keep those in the list or not.
I think it makes sense to leave them. I mean, I see a lot of these as we're talking about infrastructure with power lines and streets, and if we come up 5-10 years down the road and say we found a perfect solution, but we forgot to put in auto bicycle parking.
Yes.
I think it goes towards the goal we have of a better downtown.
Okay. It's all, now, don't get me wrong, it's better to have more than less, isn't it?
Yes, you're not required to do every project in your plan, and we can group these projects when we do a budget to them under bigger budget categories, so that you don't have to have money specifically allocated to it. If you want to do something in the future that's not in the plan, it's not prohibited to do an amendment. You can do a minor amendment to your plan, which is passed by your agency, and add it in. But it's easier to start out with a list of what you think are the items that you want now, so that they're there. And if an opportunity comes up, it's easy to say, yes, it's in, we have the authority to do that in our plan.
Okay.
So it feels like keeping those two infrastructure projects in, people are in agreement with that. The upgrades of the water sewer storm system and the auto bicycle parking. And then now we're down to the maybes. And a couple of these were around housing. So establish the vertical housing zone, which is in administration, but it's really to try to get more housing within your area, and then development of affordable housing. I don't know of a city in Oregon that can tell me they don't need housing. However, given the amount of money that you have, you may not want to be spending your agency money on creating housing. You may think all of these other projects, and there are plenty of other projects, are more important at this time. You probably don't have the affordability issue that the Portland suburb areas have for housing, but you probably have the quality of affordable housing issue. So affordable housing that is in decent repair.
So tell me what you mean by establishing a vertical housing zone. What does that mean? Does that mean that we're saying this section here can be, when you say vertical housing, are you saying stores on the bottom and condominiums or something on top, apartments on top? Or are you talking about townhouses, row houses? What are we talking about?
Yeah, and Preston, you know quite a bit about this. Do you want to jump in here, or do you want me to explain it?
Sure, Elaine, I can mention that specifically this is related to a tax incentive, a federal tax program to create mixed use construction in your downtowns. And the state of Oregon has adopted that and allowed that if a city implemented the vertical housing development tax credit, then those credits can be passed through the feds to local developers to create mixed use construction. This is commercial on the bottom floors, residential on the top floors. This is something that we encourage in our code, and most downtowns do that. I've implemented a vertical housing development zone in other cities. I mean, it gives developers incentive to do that. It doesn't cost us anything, but it does. You do have to spend time on consultant to put it into place. So it's so that's really a tax incentive program. It's not a subsidy.
Right. And it's to encourage the development of more housing in your downtown.
Now, what should we leave this in here because the possibility of that new parcel of there, they might want to do some vertical housing zoning there? In the entire C1 zone, right?
It's encouraged to do the mixed use commercial on and the housing on the top. That applies to the entire downtown core.
But I'm talking about the parcel that we have now that doesn't have anything on it.
Residential only.
Oh,
Over on the other side of the tracks.
I
Right.
got you.
Field over there.
If it's zoned properly and everything, you bet. That can all be done there too. You bet. You have to change your vertical housing development zone ordinance and get that to the state and meet all those requirements. But you bet, that's if there's a mixed use requirement in there, you can add that to your zone for that tax credit.
And what this particular project is just paying a consultant to help you get that established. So it's just, Preston had talked to me about trying to add that into this contract, but that's not something I have the skill or background to do. And so there are other consultants who know and do this better. And it would be a better use of your money to hire somebody else to do it who knows the process. So it's just money being able to reimburse if the city hired somebody to do that and you had an agency already set up and you had an intergovernmental agreement, the agency could pay back the city for establishing that zone. So it's just a way to pay a consultant to give you the authority to have that vertical housing zone.
I think it should be in there.
Yeah, I do too, because that could be used downtown as well as in that new area,
Yeah.
you know,
And
so
not
I,
knowing what's gonna come in with businesses, it's only smart to leave it in.
yes,
I agree.
good. Okay, let's keep
But
it.
vacant lots now that get built on aren't gonna be rebuilt for decades, so.
Yeah, let's keep that.
Okay, and then the one future zone change study, I think this really just pertains to that large parcel and trying to make sure that it is zoned correctly for the most advantageous use of your community. So to me, it makes a lot of sense to have the city help guide that and help look at the zoning of that parcel. So that just explains more about what that was envisioned for, but you all may still think that that's not appropriate, and that's totally up to you.
So doesn't both of those two kind of go hand in hand together?
Yeah.
So those two, the future zoning changes and the assessment should stay in there for us.
I would recommend they do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Land acquisition for parking lots, we obviously want to keep that.
Well, it didn't get full support from everybody, so I think we ought to just get head nods that you want that in, because on the survey, it didn't get over 3 votes.
I think people, citizens have complained enough about parking that we need to find good solutions, and that's gonna potentially be one of the ways to do that, so.
Well, we're not gonna draw people from outside for any length of time if we don't have reasonable parking areas.
Right,
Yeah. I agree.
So keep that one in too.
Okay, now development of affordable housing. I don't know what we would be spending our money on that.
I think the goal, at least for me, the goal of this is to revitalize our downtown. And affordable housing is a noble thing. I don't think it fits with what our goal is, at least to me.
I agree.
I would love it if we had affordable housing everywhere. But that's not the problem we're trying to solve with this association.
And if
I
we were
agree.
to solve that problem in the city, it probably wouldn't be in the downtown district.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's appropriate in here.
Okay, so let's delete that.
Okay. And then the permanent office for the chamber/business association. If you did something like that, what would happen is you would have the agency buy a building and then lease it at low or nothing to the chamber for use. That's an acceptable thing to do. The question just really is that how you want to spend money?
I don't support it.
I mean, I think this all depends on what downtown looks like a few years down the road. If business starts booming down there, this might be something we want to put money into because we'll help business downtown. But right, like today, we would not do this, but in the future we may.
Yeah, but my concern by leaving that in there, is that going to become a priority before it should be? And if we can make small amendments later or other councils down the road, I think that's more appropriate to bring that back. That's my position.
Well, we don't have to necessarily build a building or anything. Maybe it could also mean maybe we're going to subsidize the business association if they rent one of the businesses.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. You have to build it, and lease it back.
You have to use it for a capital expenditure. So a subsidy of rent or a subsidy of employee salary or anything like that is not okay. If you left it in, I think the Chamber Business Association would always be first at your door to try to get money and wouldn't be looking for other ways to do that themselves. So I would say if you're not going to do this early on, that should come out. And if at some point in the future you want to put it in, you could put it back in. But by having it in, it gives to me false expectations for something that isn't your top priority.
Let's get rid of it.
Can I offer a suggestion, Your Honor? Elaine, one category in previous plans I've worked with, we identify public-private partnerships. And under that can be things like the restroom idea, the chamber type office, the restroom facility, providing assistance to meet the treatment, expensive treatment, pre-treatment conditions for like a winery or things like that. These are things that aren't just listed as we're going to do those as subsidies. These are public-private partnerships where you engage an investor to provide those public benefits. It could be it could be other amenities for your downtown. It's not necessarily the city. The city's going to pay for it all through urban renewal, but in the plan as a public-private partnership, you're exploring those facilities as a mutual development, or you follow me? It's not just like infrastructure, which it falls on the public agency, urban renewal, to do. There's a few of those type projects in here that we don't want to do on our own, but we want to do in partnership to secure some public benefits.
I think that's a good idea, and you're right in it, as I would be putting these into language in a plan. There typically is a section that is redevelopment, and under that it gives the authority to work with nonprofits or private developers for joint development of projects. And in that kind of negotiation, you typically say, well, we'll contribute X amount of money, but what we want from you is Y. And so that is what Preston's talking about, is that public-private partnership. So that's typically one of the kind of overall authorities in an urban renewal plan.
But can't you just make a title, a business and a business partnership, without putting things underneath it?
And that's what I'm saying. I think we can leave out some of these things that we aren't sure of, but leave the kind of overall authority. And at the point where something comes up and you really think, well, this is the time to do that kind of thing, we can do it under this authority of public-private development partnerships.
I think that's better than, because some of these things, I mean, the wastewater treatment and the traffic study and this stuff, wouldn't want to spend our money on.
Okay.
So I like that idea, Elaine. One thing, we're still going to try to go to the public with this, right? So some of these we talked about that we do support. Could we leave those as like explanations of some examples at least, without just, I don't want to say we're generalizing this so much that then we take it and then, well, I don't know what this is. And where we get behind and say, yeah, I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I just want to keep some detail for taking that to the public.
Well, I don't have a problem with that, but traffic study, are we really going to do that?
Go count cars on 99.
I know, why, truck, Okay. I think the overall category of that is good. And, if we send this out to the public in a survey, they may come across some stuff that we haven't thought about.
Right. Because always the awesome thing about getting public input is somebody, that I got excited when people put those other things in that we didn't have on the list, because when we first talked about the list, we had a hard time getting input. So sometimes it just takes a while to look at it and to think about your city and to look and see what you think you need. So that's the great part about public participation.
Okay, so where are we at now?
We're down to half no, so we're back to housing development assistance, and I think what you've decided is, at this point, you don't, you don't want to do housing development assistance, that's not the key to what you're looking at. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then city identity, we had talked about in the last meeting, and I actually put the
Well,
part.
now, wait a minute. Land acquisition willing sellers, we said yes to that before, so that's still on the
For
list.
parking lots, but not for. housing development. We don't
But-
pay for land for. development.
No, but what I'm saying is that maybe we want to acquire the land for business building and use. Not housing.
I think we have matching grant.
That's under business development, so we've got parking lots and quotes, I think land acquisition for willing sellers falls under that.
Yes, we already have that for business use.
Now, that doesn't mean we're not limited to just parking lots on that one, are we?
No, but parking lot would be an example.
Okay, that's all I wanted to make sure of.
Yep, good point.
And matching grant loan program?
If you're trying to incentivize housing development, which I think you said a couple minutes ago, that really isn't what you're wanting to do right now.
So do we have that under a business area?
Yes,
Where's it at?
That was like the top one.
there was one everybody agreed to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't see it.
Yeah,
What
the-
section?
The third item on the first page, matching business loans.
Update,
The very first one.
oh, this
Yeah,
person.
and then it's,
Oh,
and then
I'm
it's
sorry.
the third line down under business development.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't thinking something was there and it wasn't. Okay. Okay, city identity.
So now we're just at city identity, Abigail Scott Dunaway Park upgrades. There were no yeses, there were 2 maybes and 1 no.
It's a brand new park.
Yeah, it's brand new,
It's not even
brand new
downtown.
No, but it needs a lot of work.
I know, but
landscaping.
I think it's big enough that people can walk in and read about the history and rest their legs, but
I think visually, I think it's a good visual point for the city. So I think we should do as much as we can to make it good.
I mean, we've approved like district signage and welcome, so we need to add something like that. I think that would fall into there, but it's so small, like, I would rather, if we're gonna spend money on parks, I thought we had something for Terry Park, park improvements, so Elaine, how's that different on the first page where people said park improvements versus specifically Abigail Scott Dunaway upgrades?
We had just one that was just specific to that park, and it got added last time because people were interested in it. So yeah, you could take it out. You could just leave park upgrades in and keep out the Abigail Scott Dunaway Park. And if you decide to do upgrades there, it fits in just regular park upgrades category and doesn't get called out specifically. So you could.
Yeah, I don't think we need to call it out specifically based on how new it is, but the door's always open, I guess. But the bank hall's always open.
Okay. And we have a section in here for city signs, correct? And under.
We do.
There we go.
First page.
One of the ones we all agree on.
Streetscape sidewalks, oh no. District signage, welcome business, wayfinding and community.
Okay, good. So we don't need either one of those. And what about the charging system?
would that fall under the parking lots?
I would say if you're going to do a parking lot, I don't know why you wouldn't do an vehicle charging station. And there are grants out there to put those in. People plan trips around where they can stop and charge their cars. And whether we like it or not, I actually have an e-vehicle, so I like it. They are coming, they are coming, and there are going to only be more of them.
Well, why don't we just put the vehicle charging as part of the parking lots?
That's what I was asking if we could do, because that's what made sense to me.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because, I mean, it's just gonna be the initial cost, because they charge money for it, so.
It wouldn't make sense to just put in a charging station and not.
You know,
I'm just kind of pointing out the obvious.
like she said, in the next couple of years, I'm sure that there's gonna be a lot of money and grants out there for this type of stuff, so.
Yeah, I think realistically we'll need 2 or 3
Mhm.
of them.
Okay, we'll keep that one.
Okay,
Lithium, we're gonna have to worry about.
so that was great input from you all. Thank you. And generally what I will do is put this back together for you and send it out. And what we have done is put together survey monkeys that go up on your website, or if your city has an email system where you have people who are interested in things, you can send it out, a link to that so that people will go on and fill out the survey. And typically what we do is we give them the list of projects. We ask them to rank them like 1 through 5, because then you get a priority from your citizens about what's most important to them. And then we also leave an open spot for them to add in anything that they think is particularly important. I have never provided the ability for them to say absolutely no on anything. I think if you guys think it's worthwhile, you know, they can do that on their own, but I don't suggest that they do it. I like to be a positive. I like them to tell us what they like and what they think should happen. I can do that differently if you tell me to.
I like how she.
No, you're the expert, I would think.
Could we
That's prepared for you to take a quick look at before it goes up. So I don't know if you want to look at it in a council meeting like this, if this is the best way for you to review things. So your next meeting, or if we can send it out and have you review it. So you need to let me know.
I think sending it out to us is probably acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah, if you send it out an email, then everybody will respond to their email.
Okay.
Like we always do.
Well established last meeting.
Can we assign it to one counselor to respond?
All right. So we'll be going on that. That'll probably be end of next week sometime before I can get that back out. But if we do that, we can get a survey monkey up on your website really easily, a survey. Preston will have to help me with whoever manages your website to make sure they can accommodate that.
We can put an announcement in the February newsletter, can we? Yeah.
We'll go out the new app, right?
Yes.
I have a question. Would it be appropriate to offer an incentive for survey taking to say, you know, you can do 1 per person, per adult or whatever, and it's an entry for maybe like a credit for your water bill or something? Would that be, so I know surveys don't generally have a lot of response, but if we could have a fixed cost or something that, I mean, it's a small town, I think people could be open to that, but I don't know.
And we've done that before, haven't
Yeah,
we?
we've done that with the park survey,
Okay,
I think twice.
okay.
Did it work well?
We got real good response.
I think we got 1,000.
Uh,
That's a really good response. That seems awfully high in parts.
I think it was more along the lines of 10-11% response, which is wonderful for a survey. Yeah,
It's about 400, 500.
that's
That was a
right.
good survey.
300.
Yeah.
I mean, that's enough for us to say, hey, that's a good input that we know we're in the right direction.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And then if you only have like a couple of winners, you don't have to say $10 per, because if you have 1,000 people, that's, you know, 10,000 people. But if you say, you know, we're going to be so randomly selecting, I don't know.
Maybe we can look at something more exciting than just a credit on the water bill or something. Maybe we can look at maybe a Harry and David gift box or something, you know.
I would suggest gift certificates to downtown businesses.
That would be good
Yeah,
too.
I
That would
thought
be
about
excellent.
that, but then you've got to pick certain businesses and maybe leave others out. I don't love that part of it.
Well, maybe the businesses will want to donate a gift card.
That's an idea.
I'll let you all figure that part out.
Yeah.
There's some options. Preston, run with this.
Yeah. Let's get some good responses.
Maybe Larry can hook us up with some businesses.
Yeah, if Elaine, through the survey monkey, are you able to identify who's responding then? It's not an anonymous thing if you're going to offer incentive. Are people identified by address or something like that?
I guess we could ask them to. They usually aren't. It's usually totally anonymous. And I'm not sure.
If it's incentivized, we need like some information.
Maybe if you incentivize it and say, if you give us your email, then we'll
You're entered to win.
enter to win.
The names will only be used for ticket
When
drawing.
you did the surveys before in the Parks Bureau where you did that, how did you do the survey?
We sent those out on postcards to every residence in the city.
And did they return the postcard so it had their name on it?
No, it was, I believe it was through our website or a form they picked up at City Hall. I
The
can't.
first one was like a form that was mailed to us in our water bill or something. I mean, it was a long time ago.
That could be. That may,
That was
I
like
think,
10 years
I think it was a half.
Yeah, it was something we filled out and then mailed back with our bill.
Correct. That's, yeah.
Nobody
you're right.
mails their bills anymore, very few do. They drop them off or pay them online.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll check into, Scott in my office does all the surveys. I'll have him check in to figure out if there's a way to do it through that. And if not, we'll brainstorm and come up with a way to do that.
Right.
Sounds good.
I thought with Survey Monkey, I had it in.
Survey Monkey, you
email
can.
before.
Well, you have to do that to log in. Survey Monkey, you can put in a requirement or an optional field or someone, I mean, you can tailor your
Yeah.
surveys to however you want. It's just whether they're allowed to do that. I think is probably the biggest question.
Okay, so Elaine, are you finished with us?
I am.
Thank you very much for your
Thank you,
time.
Elaine.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year to you. Bye-bye.
Okay, the next thing is the Public Works. Anybody have any questions about the Public Works report? No, they've been busy.
Have we gotten any of the new meters installed yet that are easy to read remotely?
We're trying to work through that in the software. I don't know how many we've done, but we're just grateful we've got a subdivision that we can work through all the kinks. But I don't know how many have been installed yet. You know,
Okay.
it's very hard to keep up with what comes at us every day.
But are all the new houses that are going in getting the new meters? We're not
New
putting.
meters, yes,
Okay,
yes, they're equipped.
okay.
Installing them is just one, isn't it, that you have to make sure that they connect with your software?
You bet. Well, it's the tricky part. Yes, the software.
Yeah.
You know, from the field gathering devices to our software, and that's the hard part. Yes.
Great, I can't wait to have that all done. Okay, so no more for the, now, how about the water, the fire? Fire is next.
Your Honor, before we leave that and the water, we had a very big leak. One of the biggest I've ever seen in a lateral. And that took us the better part of the day. We had to bring in assistance to fix that. And hopefully there's not a lot of these, but you know, we've got an issue in areas of the city with corrosion from the clay soils that eats away over time our copper laterals. And anyway, this was that condition, and it's the biggest leak I've seen. Very, very tough issue to deal with. The copper laterals were all standard. And then came the clay soils and the corrosion. So that's something we're fighting whenever we go out on a water leak. We're looking at the soils, we're looking at the depth, we're trying to figure it out. What I kind of forgot what I was going to say on that, other than
It was a big leak.
it was a big one. You know, it could, depending on, you never know how much water is pouring out of there, but this could have easily been, you know, 1 million gallons a month type of leak. And we were fortunate to be able to spot that this time of year, because it's difficult to spot leaks now with, you know, water running everywhere. So, you know, other parts of the year, you're going to see it. It was great that the crew found it and repaired it. And we just hope we don't have too many of those.
It says here that you have 800 gallons on the bypass. Did you talk to the ASR already?
The ASR began last week, early last week. And so
this is 800 in December. That was last week. That was January.
well, we couldn't begin, believe me. We would love to have began early, but we couldn't.
No, what I'm asking is I show $800 in December on this report.
Oh.
But you said it just happened last week and that's January.
The bypass is water that doesn't get captured.
Okay.
That goes to waste, basically. It does not go into ASR. It does not go into our system.
Okay, so we just put 800 gallons down into the creek.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And at this time of year, that's going to happen a little, now and then, because of the bluebird is just gushing, and it's more than we can even put into ASR and our system both. Mm-hmm. You might recall that our water meter project that we're working on right now includes a dechlorination facility at our reservoir to allow any overflow at the reservoir to go through the dechlorination. Most winters, there's no bypass because we're able to capture everything. We got a lot of water coming off the watershed this winter.
Sure.
More than we can handle right now.
Okay.
Well, good.
Good. Excellent.
Better than not enough.
You got you.
Okay, fire. Do you have anything to
It was a very exciting month with a lot of recognition. Tim Yeck's the new training officer for the fire department. And then huge congrats to Joe Munger for firefighter of the year and emergency responder of the year. And then Kyle Kratzer for Proby of the year. And then Bill Murphy was on year 25 this year. And that was recognized.
Wow. Now, do we have plaques that their names go on and they're out in there?
Yeah, they all go. We get the annual awards for Proby of the year, emergency responder of the year, firefighter of the year. That's an ongoing plaque where names get added to it.
Good.
And then Bill's 25 years of service. That was an individual plaque that's for him.
And those are already installed in the department now?
Yeah, they should be. Or their names are on them. I don't know if they've been hung back up, but yes.
Okay.
So did Carlton approve the amendments to the contract?
Yes, they did.
So that's in full effect. So good to go.
Excellent.
Yeah. And Tim started actually as a volunteer here. He's been a volunteer for Lafayette for 7-8 years now.
So is he still, is the plan still for him to kind of train and become the next fire chief?
Can't speak to the hiring
Okay.
plans for future. I
thought that was kind of intended.
that's often the plan for any kind of concession plan.
Yeah, you're correct, Jim, that's out there. No guarantees or nothing, but I met Tim for the first time. I was very impressed. And it kind of, I haven't been billed yet in Carlton. I'm gonna have to mention that to him. It's very exciting having someone else that can man the phones, reception, send people over there, there's people, it's made a world of difference. to have a turnaround.
Okay, great. Well, congratulate all those people for us. Well done. Anything in accounts payable? Anybody have any questions in accounts payable? And the last thing in this is code enforcement. How are we doing on code enforcement? Preston?
Well, it's another great summary report. We continue to, improve the formatting and things like that. Once we, now that we're into January, we're going to be able to start preparing, annual statistics for the calendar year.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that there's a lot of activity, and the one that jumps out at me is 65 green stickers on cars this last month. We kind of talked about that, last month to roll that out, and it's been very effective.
One that sticks out to me is peacocks running loose, and it's ongoing.
That peacock is not in the city limits.
I was gonna say,
Just to be clear, it does not belong here.
We
It
talked
jumps
about
the border.
We
Yeah.
talked about peacocks last month too. We talked about.
Yeah.
I've been hearing-
Not a Lafayette resident.
I can hear
Confirmed.
for the past year, my kids thought it was a cat. And I'm like, no, that's a peahen or a peacock, crowing down there. And it's straight down Jefferson, somewhere over there.
I always thought someone had like a macaw or a parrot in our area. Huh? You hear it in the morning, so maybe it's.
This is in the afternoon when I hear it. I have a question on the last page, second to the bottom. It's a dog complaint. What is VM animal abuse? Voicemail? VM? What does that mean?
I'm not sure about VM, but this was a.
I know what animal
Well, it
abuse
says
is, but
call left message. so I
Right.
think
If
it might
it
be
says
right.
that it's
Voicemail.
left a message, I think we're talking voicemail there.
got it. Okay.
So I'd like to make a request. I think we're continuing to get better on this report. One thing that's hard for me to understand, especially with some of these notes that say, checked on property in September or October, which ones were worked on that month? Some can be ongoing, and if you're waiting for a letter, I don't know if we change the ongoing to paused or leave that and make something else. I would like to see, okay, for some reason these weren't worked on or these were. I did like the change where we put resolved, left them on for a month, and then we're taking them off. So like I said, it's getting better. That's still kind of hard for me to digest the information of, well, it says he followed up on September, but I haven't seen an update since. What's going on? Kind of.
Well, I'd be happy to follow up on any specifics you had a question about. We don't include a lot of detail that's off the spreadsheet that deals with correspondence and times at the, to callbacks and all this kind of stuff. I just be happy to follow up in private if you have any concern about a particular plan.
I don't particularly need that info, but if it's an easy fix, to just have like a date of last action column.
Oh, yeah.
And so like if you do send an email, just update the date, today's date or whatever.
That'd be more helpful than just having a check mark too.
That way you don't.
For-
Like on here.
For ongoing.
Yeah, for ongoing.
Yeah, if it's resolved, hey, it's coming off next month anyway. So.
If it's an easy, but I don't particularly need that information, but if other counselors find it helpful, that might be an easy way to do it.
Just for somebody there's been no update for a few months.
So you could just have a last contact.
Yeah.
Column.
Date of
You
last
bet.
action.
Date of last- yeah.
So we'll work on that. You bet.
You could probably shorten, since you can do 2 lines on the notes, you could probably shorten up that section and go 2 lines and just put 1 contact there.
Yeah, we can work on that.
Thank you.
Okay, looks like we're getting down to the end, guys. That takes care of that column except for Preston.
Okay, I think so. I got, just very few items here, Your Honor. We're trying to lock in a date for the cleanup day. There may not be any dates available in May. That was open to announce a date in May. We don't have it. But we're probably going to lock into tomorrow to the closest day we can. Late April, or maybe even the first week of June. So that's the closest we can do to where we've normally done mid-May. And again, that'll be at Terry Park, you know. So I don't have a date for that yet, unfortunately. But over the holidays, we had 3 stop signs run over and a garbage can on 3rd Street. So not too bad. You know?
Not too bad. Oh, I was like, I guess that's an improvement. Never mind.
Yeah, well, it used to be worse, you know, when we.
Is this like 4th of July holiday? Or I mean, New Year's holiday, or is this like the whole Christmas, New Year's spread?
But nobody got hit on Bridge Street, so.
That's true, that's true, but and the person that took out our garbage can on 3rd came forward and felt really bad about it and wants to buy one. And just wonderful, you know, that was, you know, just great. So we found out today that we were awarded the grant of $125,000 to help with our sales costs.
Great.
On the reservoir.
Wonderful.
I expect to bring back to council contracts for surveying if it's very expensive, but the geotechnical report I expect to be something on a very near future council agenda. So that's good. That's moving forward. And the last thing I have, Your Honor, is the performance evaluation form, which I know everybody's excited to do. It comes at you next month. And if you want to have if you want to have a document that becomes public out of this process, you have to use this.
I'm closer.
You cannot use any other form. Only this. That's state law. It's not a choice. Now,
Is this only for RIs?
oh no. You bet. You can have. Yeah, there you go. Sure. You bet. You got extras. You can.
What are we evaluating you? Or are we
Is
evaluating?
this the same form we got last January?
Yeah, this is for
I
his.
wasn't here last year.
For his.
Oh. Catch up, guys. So sorry.
Yes, this is
Disregard.
Preston's.
Were you asleep during the?
Yeah, this took me 3 months.
Disregard all of that, sorry.
So, you know, being here 11 years, been through this 10 times with the council, there's never been a public document that comes out of this process. The way councilors have used this in the past is just to, as a way to write notes or spur your thinking. But if you're going to create a public document, it has to be this. You don't have a choice. So that will be next month. And that's all I have here.
Wonderful. Okay, so the next one is committee reports. Lee, you got anything for us?
We have, I don't remember, it was 9 million. Preston, do you remember? We just received money on the Parkway Committee last month. I don't remember the exact amount. I don't have it in front of me.
But it's not all of it, is it?
No. So the Parkway Committee is trying to get money from just about everywhere you can imagine. State legislature, the Build Back Better plan had money that we were trying to get part of.
The infrastructure part?
What's that? The infrastructure we did get money from. So money's coming in. The goal, I think, to start the first part of phase 2. I think the goal to get started is about 53 million. And we're getting there.
Good.
We're getting there. So there's,
Phase 2 is from where it ends to Rex Hill. Is that phase 2?
No, to,
I-
to Dundee, not Dundee, but
Dayton.
Dayton, this way, it's coming this way.
219 to Dayton,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
That will be a huge benefit to us.
That is like phase 4 or something.
It's gonna take it all the way to I-5.
Yeah,
Way,
That's the
I don't see it
long-term
going
plan.
down.
That looks like the
I was
original
gonna-
plan,
Yeah,
Trust me,
We'll be long gone.
as somebody who drives to I-5 every day to work, I wish that were.
I think that was-
that was
Originally,
discussed a lot and was shot down in the meetings that I went to.
So phase 2 is gonna be on this, on the Lafayette.
It'll be
side?
219, so on the, that's down in the Newburgh area
Mhm.
to Dayton.
Oh,
No, Newburgh we've already got it from 219 to Dundee. You're talking about Dundee,
Oh, I'm sorry, on this side of it.
Yeah.
To Dayton,
yeah, Dundee to Dayton.
to Dayton.
okay.
So, sorry, I was on the wrong side, on this side, on the Dundee side to Dayton.
Yeah, I understand it's gonna attach to 18, is that correct?
I have, you know what, I'll bring you guys the maps.
That'd be
Yeah.
That would be
Forward them, yeah, I can just forward the maps. We just got maps
I know.
recently.
You
that
start
show
spitting out numbers and
things.
roads, and I'm like,
There's
I got lots.
also,
When he said 219, I went.
there's also a group trying to put a cycling and walking trail parallel as part of the new phase. So we'll see how that goes. I think Dundee to Dayton and wine country is not a bad place for that kind of thing. I'd rather have the wine tasters are on bicycles than in cars. So
Well, how, you know,
That's true.
they were supposed to have that walking trail, but it was the commissioners decided not to do
Yeah,
it.
That's unrelated.
That's.
But
okay,
but
so-
are we gonna
very
run into that
separate.
type of a problem with this? 'Cause I think a trail like that would be
The
great.
challenges with that one was the land that it would take.
Farmland.
If this, it sounds like this would be built into something that's already being built.
Right, the land's already being acquired.
Okay, so it'd be run right off.
Then,
That
yeah,
would
it's
be
not
great.
eminent domain where they'd have to build like directly through fields or anything like that. to other people.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I will try to remember to forward the maps and other information I have for you. So
Well, thank you for representing us on that.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
it's interestingly, the chair of that committee is the founder and one of the main partners at the law firm that's helping Larry with the 1C6.
Great.
Same group.
It's a very small county.
Well, you guys should then talk the same language.
It's a large committee,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of the Dundee mayor, I believe, is on that committee. Casey Kula is on that committee. A lot of folks who know from around Yamhill County are there.
Now, I was under the impression that they were working on grants or something for the amount of money that they expected to get from the cities. Have you heard anything
So
about that?
there's a lot of discussions on that. There's a little bit of push for me to bring to the table here the idea of giving city money to that project. Some cities in the county have, some have not. So yeah, there's a lot of that going. That's a very active discussion item right now in that committee.
Okay. Good. Okay.
Well, the county's soliciting for projects that affect or benefit countywide.
Right.
I can't think of a better project than the bypass, you know.
Yeah, I think, and it's interesting because it's one of those projects where everybody in this room probably has the preferred routes that bypass would take for where they drive most frequently. But one thing to remember is out in this area, you know, if you're able to get on that bypass in different area in Dayton or in Dundee, it opens up your routes quite a bit, especially with the year of construction we all just went through. So yeah, it should be good. I'm not sure how accurate the projected timelines are going to be. Because it's a money thing, but it'll be good.
Yeah, I know Grand Ronde kicked in like 3 million to the first phase or whatever. So hopefully they're doing okay out there.
Yeah,
It's fair amount.
Well, I tell you one thing, it'll be
My
wonderful
uncle got
coming
there
from the
once.
beach, especially. Have you ever going into town at 2:30 on Sunday afternoon? Forget it.
I turn just before Grand Ronde and go up, over, down, and come down into Pacific City and or a little farther up, depending on where I'm going. I'm not headed towards Lincoln City, I'm headed north, so I turn right there before it gets too bad.
But I mean, if those people come through and they hit 18 and they go all the way up through Dundee and stuff and bypass us altogether, you know, it'll be a nice drive into town now on Sunday.
There's all our tourist traffic coming down.
That is true. That is true. Okay, Councilors Reports. Anybody got a report?
I think we were gonna revisit the topic just to kind of check in January. I think we said talking about ADUs. I don't know that I'm ready to talk about it again next month. I don't know if anybody's looked into anything, but
I've had, to be honest with you, I've been working on other things. I haven't
You talking about the
checked.
SDCs for 80.
right, looking at those. So I would suggest either like March or April, maybe to throw it back on there.
Well, why don't we give it to Preston in whichever month we have enough time on to put
Yeah, I'm
let's do
flexible
that.
that way.
Yeah, I had it as a tickler in February, but you'd prefer March or April, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and I mean, if it has to go later, that's fine, but
I mean, it's not something that we have to change today, so we can
Right.
put it out.
I want to keep the discussion going. I don't want it to be a year before we talk about it again, but
No, I agree.
Yeah, we'll find a place there. You bet.
all right.
Okay, the mayor's topic. I am really excited. We've been working on this for quite a few years. And it looks like February is going to be our rollout date for our phone app. Now, you have examples of stuff in there, and remember, those are just examples and discussion items. The final will come out in February, and then at that time, when we start using it, we can make any changes that we want to add to it. One thing I've asked, and it's called, and we were lucky, we got Or Lafayette as the title. So when you go into the app stores, which is, it's going to be good on iPhones and Android, you can type in Lafayette, or you type in Or Lafayette or Lafayette, Oregon and stuff, and it'll all come up so you can download it. And there won't be any cost to download it.
Will we will pay our water bills by this?
Yes, yes. It works, it's going to work seamlessly with our website. So what's going to happen is when you click on one of the options, it's going to take you to the website, but formatted in the phone app. So you won't even know that you're on the website.
Perfect. Our website actually already does that if you access it from the phone.
Yeah, I know,
but
it's a real pain.
similar. I
I just drop off mine every
know.
month.
Well, that's what's nice about this is everything will be formatted for the phone and not that, you know. Now, I don't know if any of you have any of you seen Dayton's app?
It's fancy.
Well, what I've asked them to do is, and you can pass this around.
I've
is-
seen it.
Yeah, I don't know if they have it. But I've asked them in this section here, rather than do a list like this, is to put these type of icons. So you get more on one page than you do. So you can
More
do that.
user friendly too.
Yeah, more user friendly.
Yeah, they're bigger,
Yeah.
you know, you can see them better and.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up because we tried for January, but we didn't make it. Evidently, you have to get Apple's okay to put it on the app. And Apple was gone for vacation over the Christmas holiday for a couple of weeks. So that's what we were waiting for. And so now I guess they'll have that, and we should have it ready for you by February. Now, what'll end up happening is that it'll probably take us 6 months with information from the citizens and us and everything to really get it to work the way that we need it to. One of the things it's going to do is that if you have a complaint about a code enforcement or like a pothole or something like that, you're going to be able to take a picture of it, fill out an application, a form, and it'll be routed directly to the person that it's supposed to be routed to. It won't go to a general and then to a person. It will go, like for instance, code stuff will go directly to Robert. Potholes, street information like that will go directly to Greg and that type of stuff. So it'll make everybody more efficient.
Okay.
And then it will also, when the problem is resolved,
you'll get an email back that says it's resolved and what went on. And then another good thing about it is that we'll be able to, everybody that signs up for it and downloads the app, we'll be able to push notifications out to them. You know, so that if there's like, for instance, if there's some bad weather or one street problem or, you know, something like that, you know, almost anything, we'll be able to push it out. So it's going to be very important for us to sell the app and get everybody on it. It is not a Facebook app where you're going to have these discussions back and forth. It's not that. So,
So like stuff like the cooling centers during the summer, stuff like that.
Yeah.
When you say sell the app.
well, we have to sell the, I mean, to get the citizens to use it.
Yeah, it's free.
I'm sorry, promote.
Really leave some money on the table.
I'm sorry. I used the wrong word. I should have said promote.
So we could push a Survey Monkey link that would be.
Yes.
Yeah.
And actually, when she was talking about that, there is a icon on a Dayton one that says polls. So I'm sure that we can probably have them put that your voice matters, you know, and different things like that. We can have them put that as a, you know, as an icon, and then we can push a message out that says, you know, do this. We need these surveys.
And they'll send notifications to people's phone.
Right.
If they have their notifications turned on. It's just like any other app. When
Okay.
I don't want your notifications, then you can turn it off. But-
And you'll be able to set up what type of notifications you can want.
Oh, nice.
If there's certain ones you don't care about, maybe you don't care about road ones or whatever, you know, I can't imagine what, but you can tell it not to send them to you.
Okay, perfect.
Can you link to the live feed of the city council meeting? So it's not,
I don't know about that.
that'd be cool.
I bet you could. I mean, you could really, resources, right? You just put in a resources link when you, because if you have YouTube installed on your phone, your app.
Yeah.
If you click on a YouTube link, it opens it up in your app. So it's gonna open up as an external one, but yeah, there's no reason it couldn't. be
I've just heard you kind of have to refresh it until the meeting starts, and it's kind of irritating from who I've heard from, so. I
Okay.
don't know. Be a cool thing to.
Well, what'll happen when we get it out, we'll all download it and we'll start playing with it. And these people do Oregon City, Marion County, and North Plains. So they do a lot of different sizes and they use the application in a lot of different ways. I know one city uses it heavily in the public works because they're larger and they're just expanding it to the rest of the stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how quickly we can respond to citizens with it. And I think it will be a great asset to the city and the staff, as well as the citizens.
I'm very excited.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for working on that.
Yeah, I just, you know, I talked to Kevin the other day, and I didn't realize we've been working on this for 2 years.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, I just, you know, because I
I
took.
remember talking about it when we first switched the new website, when we upgraded the website, and that's when we started, yeah, so it's been.
Well, we had a problem finding the right company for us, first of all. Because the company that Dayton uses only does their websites. And then we had another company that would work with our website, but they didn't have the option to push notifications out to the people, and they weren't going to probably have it for 6 to 9 months. Well, you as a programmer probably know when you're told that you're going to get that option in 6 to 9 months, you won't get it for a while. So aren't you a programmer?
I dabble.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I thought that's what you did for your job. So we finally found a company that could do everything we wanted to and push the notifications out. And so once we did that, we were able to get moving on it. So anyway, that's my exciting news for today.
Awesome.
Great.
Yeah, part of being a little slow to the game is you get to learn from others, and the technology gets better. So we've got a very good company that's very versatile, can meet all our needs.
Are you sure we shouldn't wait another couple of years then?
With the way weather's going, probably not.
Right?
We got,
Get hit with ice, heat.
we got really good feedback from the people that are using it. So they're very responsive and they're here quite a bit. So anyway, and what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be creating door knockers so that when the guys read the meters, they put door knockers on the, I just hate that word, knockers, door knockers. They're gonna put door knockers on the houses, and then we'll put it out on the reader board, and then we'll put it in the newsletter.
To promote the app.
To promote it, yes.
I not want to put them the same color for the water shut off.
Oh, I don't think.
But also you might want to, right?
I don't know, most people might just toss that.
Here's how you do it. You're not actually late. Gotcha.
But it should make everybody, the city staff, the citizens and everybody more efficient and have more direct access to who can handle their problems rather than having to go through a switchboard and then to somebody else and then to somebody else. So I'm really excited. And, you know, there'll be a list of all of the things that people can select, like, you know, potholes and then this type of stuff. And that will grow as time goes on, you know, so that, you know, people will give us more suggestions and we'll get, you know, and I guess the citizens will either like it or they won't. I don't know. I don't know. I just am excited about it.
Well, it's better than nothing.
That's right.
So I think the citizens will appreciate it.
Well, it's just
They might
one.
even suggest, you know, improvements to it. But
Oh, well, yeah, that's,
I hope
we're
so.
expecting them to.
yeah, but I think it's better than nothing. It's better than having to call in or type out an email or go through the form and submit it on the website. So.
Well, one thing that I like is that there's going to be a roadmap for every complaint or concern or something like
It's gonna
that.
be a lot more efficient.
And not only efficient, it's just that if somebody says, well, I emailed in 4 times and I've not got a response, we can go back and look and see if we really got those emails, you know, that type of stuff. Because, you know, we don't want to have that happen and we don't want to lose information like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just for the record, I don't know when that has ever happened.
I'm not saying it did. I'm just saying that if we get those type of things, we're able to go back.
People say all the time they've done
That's right.
something and we don't, you know, who knows if they did or not, right? So,
Yeah, no, we get those, people say, well, I
I've told you
never got a
100 times,
response.
Preston.
Yeah. So does anybody have any questions?
I just had one question, Preston, and again, whether this is true or not, I've seen some people having some complaints about some of the Zipley salesmen. Has City Hall received any complaints from any citizens about that? It
Yes.
sounds like they're being kind of pushed. They have?
Yes, we have.
Okay, how does that go? I mean, they've got a permit to be doing that. Is it, they get so many chances and then their permit's taken away or?
Well, I think the complaints were done because they didn't have permits.
Oh,
I
okay,
don't know if we've received any complaints.
since they have gotten, okay. It just sounded like some of the salesmen were maybe a little pushy and, you know, if they have complaints, is that okay to you know,
Absolutely.
direct it to you?
You bet.
Okay.
You bet.
I like pushing to official channels so that then again, there's a record.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, my recommendation would be calling up Zipley too and raising.
Yeah, well, and I
Let the
don't
city
know
do
if
it.
that
I
would be
mean,
from
really.
City Hall to say, hey, you know, we're about to take away your permit because we're getting these complaints, deal with your salesman.
Yeah,
We've
exactly.
had those conversations.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for doing that. That's all I had.
Okay, anybody, I guess I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor?
That was twice.
Yeah, it's okay. I don't know who wrote it down.
That's why I just said third.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.